Hello, dear listeners. This is Gerald, your Dwarven host, with a quick announcement and adjustment. In this episode, we will mention our Patreon being in the works, but by the time this episode airs, our Patreon will already be up and running. So, if you like what you hear and want to support the show, maybe even have us release episodes weekly, please check the link in the description and join our Patreon. For as little as $1 per month, you can get access to our private Discord and join a like-minded group of individuals gushing over the world of Warhammer Fantasy and other grimdark settings. Thank you for the quick sidebar, and enjoy the episode. Welcome back, dear listeners, to the next episode of Grimlore, the lore podcast for all your Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar needs. Hello, everyone. This is Gerald once again, joining to learn more about the wonderful and grim, fantastical world of Warhammer Fantasy with my friend and co-host, Rayway.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
How have you been?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
Did you manage to get all those warpstone chunks out of your neck yet?
I'm actually having a nice hairy doctor pull them out, actually. He's very nice, but he keeps saying yes, yes.
Okay, just be on the lookout for that one. Make sure he's not one of those freedom-impaired doctors.
Oh, don't worry, I have to pay him.
I think that's the definition of freedom-impaired, but we're going to brush over that right now. Well, I don't know about you, but this past week I was at a performance by a dwarven band called The Windrose. And while I was there, I got myself a nice little souvenir tankard to take back to the tavern to enjoy some more ale. And I happened to run into this individual that actually knew us from the podcast. So after talking with him, we decided to bring him along to the tavern of his own free will, mind you. So, that being said, we have ourselves a little guest here tonight. Welcome, everyone, Astronautical.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, Astro.
How's it going?
Good, what are you in for?
You know what? I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to be honest. I was getting a little rowdy. I had a few drinks. You know how dwarves can get. There were some racial slurs about elves. It got a little out of hand.
I regret nothing. I was just like to
no
say,
regrets, no
those
apologies.
rumors are not true.
Yeah. Why would I regret something? I did nothing wrong.
You heard it here, folks. Astro did nothing wrong.
So, how is everyone?
Don't worry, Astro. It was a lot better than that surly night we kind of ran into and ran away from on the way back to the tavern. So, you're in the clear.
Listen, the less said, the better.
Yeah.
Gerald, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh. I promised I hid it. The authorities will not find it. Neither will the Skaven.
Apparently, we have some announcements to make. Is that correct?
I believe we do.
Ooh, how fun. Go ahead.
So, we are getting our Patreon set up as we speak. Just learning some logistical and technical stuff that surpasses my dwarven brain, but don't worry, we're figuring this out along the way. It's going to include some nice little perks, including an invite to our Discord. All it is just, donate at least $1. It's just going to help keep the candles lit and the pints flowing because I'm a very thirsty dwarf. Hush your mouth, Ray.
I say nothing.
So if you're interested in hearing us nerds just gush over Warhammer Fantasy and some other grimdark settings, maybe possibly in the future, and maybe bring on some guests and donate $1 or $2 or however generous you feel like being. And where you'll be in for a good time.
I'm excited. I am obviously letting the dwarf handle the money because he would never lie about coin.
Nope, I'm still bound to that blood oath. Damn you.
I also want to thank Astro for being here because he came willingly and not because he needs to hide from the authorities.
Wink,
Yep.
wink.
Anybody who knows me knows that I would only do this of my own free will.
Not under duress at all.
No,
The
I
concept
wasn't
is
running
great.
from asteroids. I wasn't running from rats. I wasn't running from my own people. I'm just hanging out there.
And
I-
while we're on that subject, hey Ray, can you deal with this chain link over here? Don't ask why it's broken up. Just throw it in the fire pit.
This is fun. This is fun. I love about talking about evading authorities. But speaking
Isn't
of
that quite the
authority,
topic these days?
yeah, I know everyone loves a good rebellion.
The revolution will not be civilized.
Anarchy for the win. But I think we should actually talk about the opposite of anarchy today.
Oh my.
Oh boy.
Now, as much as I love authoritarian empires like the Empire, I do also like a matter of like organization and structure to, my empire that I would find in a series that I love. So, can you take a guess at what the topic will be today?
Sorry. Sorry, I got the giggles again. I was gonna make some stupid chaos dwarf joke, but
You guys, either if you want to guys take a guess.
The only thing that comes to mind is Smurfs. I don't know what they would be called in fantasy,
yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
The Smurfs.
but yes.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you really think about it,
Yes, because when I think of the grimdark fantasy world of Warhammer Fantasy, I think of the Smurfs, of course. The
Oh,
little
yes.
blue men with pitchforks.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, I think that's just called the halflings.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, you can paint the minis any way you want. Who's to say you can't have a blue halfling army?
exactly.
Oh dear. Oh
With
my
white
god.
caps that also happen to be suspiciously pointed.
I hate this.
Okay,
I hate
anyways.
this already. I hate this already.
All right, and we're cutting that part out of the cast.
We're going to be talking about the Empire of Man.
Yeah.
Specifically though, the creation of the Empire of Man and
Yeah.
the king, the barbarian, the guy who comes in with a fucking steel chair. We're going to be talking about Sigmar and his life and how he formed the Empire of Man.
Oh,
All right.
yes.
Now we're talking.
Bring it on.
To be honest though, this is some badish news. This is what I was talking about earlier. This episode could easily be a 3 or 4 parter because that's just how expansive Sigmar's life actually is. But because I refuse, I'm going to be doing this in one fucking episode because we just had a 2-parter.
Like a boss.
Oh boy.
All right, Astro. Hope you brought your what were those pills called?
Listen, don't worry about what they're called. Depends what district you're in.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Warp Adderall. There we go.
Yeah, something
Oh,
like
for
that.
God's sakes.
Once
Just
upon a
close your
time,
eyes, put on your
it
tongue.
fell from the sky. It fell from the moon. It's all
Exactly.
natural.
I forgot
we
the
made
laws.
sure to
If
steal it
something
from the
falls
best-
sky, it's free.
Yeah. Because who owns the sky, really?
Oh dear God.
And hey, it inconveniences Skaven, which they happen to like doing too, so it works.
Yes, but I think if you got found an ounce of warpstone, it'd be like walking in downtown Detroit with like more than $10 in your wallet.
It's like a third world country discovering oil reserves or something.
Oh my fucking God. We're all gonna die.
Damn, made me cough.
All right, so I hope everyone is going to be taking notes because again, I could easily probably make Sigmar's life alone, like I said, 2, maybe 3 episodes, and the Empire as a whole for like a good old 4. But
So there's
right
going to be
now,
7 whole episodes, is what you're telling me.
it's gonna be 7 whole episodes of nothing but humans. Oh God, I love this so much.
Well, that sounds like about half of any 40K cast, so we're on the right track here.
If
right?
if half of your episodes are about humans and then the other half are about dwarves, I think you do pretty well.
And where do my pointy-eared cousins come in?
I don't know.
What pointy-eared cousins?
They're on some island or something somewhere. Nobody needs to care what they're up to. They don't care what they're up to.
Yes, this isn't up in the high towers being so perfect and so arrogant and just perfect. Oh,
I mean, they didn't exactly do anything perfect in both the next episode and like the previous episode and in this episode currently that we're gonna go over.
well,
I'm
doesn't the
curious how
previous
much lore
episode
there
he
even
count
is
as
to
a
get
dark
into.
elf?
What was that? Sorry.
Astro
Go ahead,
first.
Joe. I was just saying, just from what I've heard so far, is there even much lore to what the elves are up to at all? It seems like they're safe from everything. They're just kind of hanging out.
I mean, unless they leave and then they kind of do their own little thing of not okayness.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I said
They're
in the
going
previous-
out and solving problems.
And I said in the previous episode, the one that left was actually a dark elf, correct?
Yep, he creates the dark elves.
That sounds like
LBA.
a horrible move.
Oh, it's great. It's great. When you get to the episode, feel free to message me because I'd love to hear your opinions on our boy.
I'll
Hey,
be
I
ready.
actually liked him for the most part.
That says a lot. But let's get on to the lovely business of the first human emperor, Sigmar Helmenhammer.
Badass name already.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Body is ready.
fucking vast name. All right. Now, as much as I would love to, blurt on about the glory that is Sigmar, because I honestly really like Sigmar almost more than I actually like an Aryan and like basically any other elf, because Sigmar has such fun to him because he screams like anime character,
All right.
and I kind of love that. But before I actually talk about Sigmar, it's important that I kind of give some context to the world as a whole, like the current location, current political environment, everything that's going on. So,
Is it all war? Is there any hope?
well, it's Warhammer, so there's a little bit of hope, but you have to get kicked in the balls to get it.
Has Sigmar been sitting on a very big chair for a very long time?
No, he actually does shit.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Better than another emperor that sits on a chair for a very long time.
Oh, listen, we don't need to talk about that.
Why do I hear banging on my door?
That hasn't happened yet. That's a little bit in the
Yeah,
future.
see, I was approached by these folks in these long trench coats, and I accidentally gave them directions to your place instead of mine, so sorry about that.
I love this.
Open the door!
So, for the two of you, would you like to quickly look at the picture I am sending on the Discord in the art and picture section? A little promotion for our Discord there if wants to join. Just saying, you can see all the pictures sent to all our guests.
Yes.
I expect some serious artwork.
Yes, it is. It is currently loading the other picture I'm sending right now.
It's riveting. I'm staring at shoulder
Truly,
pads.
truly.
There we go.
Wait
Oh,
a minute,
boy.
why is my sigil on here?
There's like a whole 5 pixels in that. Oh boy.
Really? Why is my
That was
sigil
not
on this?
expected. Sorry. All right, so
This low quality JPEG brought to you by Gerald.
I promise my artwork is better than this.
I can confirm.
oh fuck! Look, it's literally a picture of the world map, just zoomed in really fucking close. What do you want from me here?
Oh, boy.
The location of the map I just sent, for anyone who wants to know, is a location of the Empire, Kislev, Bretonia, Talia, the Badlands, the World Edge Mountains, which is the massive mountain range right beside the fucking Empire, and then further to the east is the Darklands. But for the most part, this map of 4 pixels will be kind of a little reference guide for anyone for our two guests who want to watch along, and anyone who has a better quality picture of the map at their disposal. So, for reference, it is currently what would be considered -30 in the Imperial calendar, and the reason why is because Sigmar is coronated on the 0th year. So this is 30. This is basically 30 years before his ascension, or just before Sigmar is born.
Right.
And the land that is the Empire, or what would become the Empire of Man, is, for lack of a better word, like Bronze Age, barely into the Bronze Age human civilizations. Like, they're very much like small, like villages, small, like maybe the very like minute petty kingdom that lasts and then like quickly falls away within like a decade of being formed. It is a very not well made land for the most part. It's very dangerous and very hostile.
Mhm.
And it's actually dangerous for a number of reasons that actually include the elves and the dwarves.
Sometimes the moon just blows up, so you got something to look forward to.
Sometimes you get some really hungry rats.
Food? Yes, yes.
Yes, you gotta feed them. So what I mean by the humans were kind of not being okay by the dwarves and the elves. So because during the Great Cataclysm, where chaos invaded the world, humans naturally fell to chaos unless they were like in a very powerful civilization at the time. And because the elves and dwarves recognized how quickly humans were to fall to chaos, humans were seen as like pests. That it was better to just kill them to avoid them falling to chaos. So a lot of like these villages, these kingdoms, were actually like decimated and razed to the ground by elven and dwarven like armies to keep humans from like ever growing too big.
Hey, it's
That's
not our
not
fault
to,
they're weak and fall to chaos.
that's also not to mention the humans that could use magic, but because they were naturally untrained, they were also like a danger that the elves did not like naturally.
Yeah, sensible.
So
There can be only
yeah,
one.
This is the
The-
worst kind of discrimination. The kind against me.
I respect that. Very
Okay.
elfish of you. But yes, so the humans actually would actually raid elf and dwarf lands. Like if there was ever like a dwarf settlement, the humans would try to raid it for, like resources, plunder. Because again, these are Stone Age fucking barbarians who are like barely into the Bronze Age. But there's actually another reason the elves and the dwarves would actually like basically bully the humans.
What did they do? Pull pranks, do wedgies, shove them in lockers.
No, so if you look at the four-frame map that I sent you guys, there's actually a little land to the south that says the Land of the Dead. And this
Yeah.
is actually the ruins of one of the greatest human civilizations, one of the most ancient, called Nehekara. And
Wow.
Nehekara,
Oof.
yeah, it's fantasy Egypt.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, basically take everything like Egypt and then like dial it up a little bit and put some like actual magic in there, and that's what it was. But
Okay, so
at
like
any
X-Men
rate,
Apocalypse.
yeah, they said a good movie. So Nehekara was actually one of two of the first human civilizations. The second one was Cathay, which is actually like fantasy China. And what would happen is that because these two civilizations were like so powerful at their peak, the elves and dwarves could not defeat them, and so they were actually only two like civilizations that can actually like make them lose in fights and like take back a land or like take land from the dwarves and the elves. And so because it was always like, oh, well, we can't beat them, we'll just go bully these guys then. And that is a genuine reason why the elves and the dwarves just destroyed some human civilizations that were forming in what is basically fantasy Europe. So I think, as the elf, that we should forgive our ancestors for these crimes and place no blame on us because we are not ancestors, obviously.
Well, of course, as the dwarf in this conversation, well, yes. And we worship our ancestors.
Everyone was so jealous of our pyramids. They were such good engineers. Well, hold on a sec, Rearway. You gotta clear this up for me. Are you telling me that humans, we were literally kings?
Um, we were petty kings.
I'll accept that.
Okay. I can accept petty.
I can accept petty kings.
Say your next words very carefully, Ray.
It was the orcs. Because on top of being ganged up by the elves and the dwarves, the humans are also being attacked by the orcs.
Yeah, that's to be expected.
As you do.
Oh, and also beastmen.
Oh,
All right.
that's just not
I'll
a good
wait-
time.
I'll wait for the Beastmen episode. I'm sure that's a real fun time.
Well, there's actually not. It's gonna be like a 5-minute one. Beastmen are
Oh.
human animals. The end.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Oh, wow. Shortest
That is a
episode
very
ever.
quick
All right,
one.
that's another one in the books, folks.
I'll see you guys next time.
So naturally, humans were not okay in this situation. Not looking good for us. No.
Not having fun.
Now, would you believe me if I said humans are also our worst enemy?
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can believe that.
Because the land that is like fantasy Europe actually had a number of like I said, tribes, little kingdoms that would like fall apart. But they were like smaller, like I said, kingdoms. Like they're more akin to like clans.
Yeah.
and each one of these clans like populated a region. And on top of being attacked from outsiders, like from the orcs and the elves and the dwarves, and being attacked from within from the beastmen who like populated the same region as them, the human tribes, the human clans actually went to war with each other just as much as all the other foreign invaders did attack them.
It's
Yeah.
like another human empire that we know about. I
Sounds
wonder who
about
that could
right.
be.
Sounds
Interesting.
about right.
Sus.
Yeah, it was basically the age of strife for these people.
But less
Um,
hygienic.
Yes, indeed. But yet somehow better quality of life.
How does that work?
How is that? How did they end up with a better quality of life?
I'm talking about compared to the Imperium.
Well, I mean, even still, you can shower in the Imperium.
Can you? Do you
I
have your
mean-
appropriate tickets?
Depends where you are, but
I
there's a difference between, being in a universe where you need tickets to take a shower versus being in a universe where all the water is just full of orc corpses and everybody's refuse.
mean,
Oh, what
that's
are you
not a
talking
bad
about?
point.
That's the cleanest taste of water ever. That's some straight
they-
gourmet shit right there.
But consider though, does the Imperium have the barbarian King Sigmar? No.
No, well,
Okay, you
they
make a
had
fair point.
they had something like it once, and it was pretty cool.
It happened one time, but I haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
It was one time.
And then
one
what
time.
It was
happened?
cool.
What happened to the great human empire? Humans ruined it. We ruined it all over.
That's
Why
a
are
bit
we
of an
always our
oxymoron,
worst
don't you think? A
enemies?
great human empire.
Nobody's good enough to take us out. We had to do it ourselves.
Yes, I love that excuse when it comes to extinction. I'm sure the ants will remember that one.
Yeah.
But speaking of a completely unorganized rabble that is humanity, one of these tribes that existed in this, like, again, this fantasy Europe location was actually called the Umberogan tribe.
The Umberogan?
It's
Unbroken?
Unbroken. It sounds almost like unbroken. It's kind of meant to be the origin of the word unbroken.
The
Can I get
Joe
the joke?
Rogan tribe?
Oh my god. Really?
Unbowed,
That explains so
unbent,
much.
unbroken.
And they kind of occupied basically along the mountain range. They were the ones kind of near I think they're near the Bretonian mountain range. But in either case, they were not near the center of the empire. They were one of the basic border empires that bordered the mountain. And the leader of this tribe was actually called Bjorn. He still has both his hands. Don't worry, he's not a giant suit of armor. And Bjorn Umberogan was actually like one of the most like top warriors, one of the top generals. He's one of the most fierce, brutal warriors up there. He's known as one of the greatest warrior kings. And he's actually celebrating the birth of his first son. It's not his birth just yet, but he's like kind of having it's basically a wedding. It's basically like a baby shower. He like summons a bunch of like people from across his tribe to like don't give gifts to his wife. Like, hey, come give gifts to my wife because I fucking said so. Or else your head's gonna end up on a spike outside. He's a barbarian king.
You got to keep them in line, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, naturally they're bringing his wife sticks, a nice rock, and
I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder.
And Bjorn is so like ecstatic by the fact he's going to be giving birth to it, like his wife's going to be giving birth, and she confidently says that she knows it's a boy because she can feel that there's a strong heart in there, and he's like overjoyed. He summons actually the shamans and the old wise men of his tribe. Like basically, if you're old enough to survive, you must have like some great wisdom with you. So he's like, yes, I'll summon all of them. And so Bjorn actually summons all these wise men and like shamanistic people to his tribe, to like not his tribe, but to the barbarian baby shower. And he invites them all. And as he's gathering them all, he's like, yes, read the runes, read the skies, like tell me of my son that is coming. Tell me of all the great deeds he will do. And as they spent, hours in deliberation, as they spent time reading the runes, reading the scriptures, reading the stones, looking at the stars, consulting for anything they could, they all kind of looked at him and gave him a single, very depressing prophecy. that the boy will not be born, that the boy will die, and so will the mother.
Yep, there's a classic Warhammer depression.
And Buren, hearing this, kind of becomes broken. Not only is he good, not only should he believe these shamans because they can, predict the future to the best of his knowledge, but he's led to believe that his firstborn son, his only child that is coming, will die, which will break anyone.
Mhm.
But it's also because he's a barbarian king. If his wife died and his unborn child will die,
Oh, he's
it's
fair.
basically it's a fucking kick in the teeth to like your reputation as a barbarian king.
Oh yeah.
I think if your fifth wife dies, then it should look bad on you as a barbarian king. But that's just me.
Well, let's see here. Divorce, beheaded, died. Divorce, beheaded. Yeah, that does speak badly on
Well,
you.
he can't just keep getting new wives. People are gonna run out of sticks, man. Like he can't just keep having these weddings.
Mhm. You can only get so many boulders.
My back, it's broken. I cannot lift it. All right, that's it. Killer. My wife really wanted that boulder. Oh, so Buren is kind of like, he's depressed by this, and he tells his wife, and she consoles him and says that she believes that they can survive. Like, don't worry, we'll survive. We'll make it through this. Comforting him. And he ends up remembering that there's actually a witch that actually lives like in the forest, like deep in the forest in like unclaimed territory. But problem is that's unclaimed territory, which means there's beastmen. There's probably like sickly, cannibalistic barbarian humans who have just been who've been exiled from their village for whatever reason.
Mhm.
There's probably all sorts of things that could live in the bush, basically.
All
But-
to get to a witch at the end of it. It's a very risky proposal.
Yes, but the concept is that this witch, she can basically she can basically create a new prophecy for you if she's allowed to perform her ritual. So, given that the alternative is his wife and child both dying, Bjorn summons his wife because she needs to be present for the ritual as well as the child, and he gathers all of his greatest warriors, like every single one of his personal guards, his personal warriors. He gathers them all together, leaving his village defenseless. But that's beside the point.
Don't worry about that.
It's just, anyways.
But he gathers them together and he basically rallies a movement party to let him get his wife to the witch. Basically, it's a long ass walk in the woods. His wife really wanted to stretch her legs, but she wanted 10 people to carry her while she did it.
Sounds like a setup to any grim fairy tale right there. Walking in the woods.
Why do I get a bad feeling about this?
It's Warhammer. We get a bad feeling about everything here.
Yes. To explain just how again, primitive one, they were basically using a wheelbarrow to transport his wife while everyone else was walking.
I mean, it makes
Not a
sense.
single toe on her is to touch the ground.
It was basically a very small and primitive carriage, but I
Yeah.
like to imagine it as a fucking wheelbarrow because I think it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, you said that, and I was just imagining someone someone in the middle of the night going to the bathroom and not knowing the toilet seat is up, and they just kind of sink into the bowl.
Oh.
It's like that, but it's a wooden bowl with just sticks on each side to be carried.
Oh.
Oh my gosh!
Imagine being the person who has to carry that.
I imagine there's two people carrying it, one on both sides.
You need at least 4 or 5 people carrying that thing.
Oh. Who has it worse?
The royal carriage.
You must sit upon the royal throne after it has been used. I mean, that's pretty similar to what happens, actually. So, while Sigmar and his force are moving through the woods, they actually finally come upon the rumored, witch's cabin. And it would stare like this rundown. It's a prototypical witch's cabin. And Bjorn's kind of just all right, let's fucking do this. He kind of starts walking to go answer the door, but as he's going to knock on the door to discuss the witch, he actually notices her cauldron is bubbling. And as Bjorn looks, he notices there's actually eyeballs and hands and shit floating in it of the witch. And that's when he realizes that she's already been killed and that something was actually eating her. It's at that moment that the door in front of him bursts open and a host of orcs actually pour out and attack Bjorn. It's at this moment that Bjorn's kind of just oh shit, okay, there's orcs here. And before he even has the moment to rally his men, they are swarmed by orcs. Like they're just swarmed by orcs, and this kind of just sets something off on Bjorn. Like I have to go see my wife. So he's running back. He's cutting down orcs as he's running back, and he kind of rallies all of his men to like stand guard around her. Like everyone make a shield wall around her, while she's also at this point giving birth.
Of course.
As
Yes,
you
because
do.
nothing makes it better than fucking dramatic irony. And, she's fucking like she's going into labor, and he's like, "Oh come on, can't you fucking do this another time?" But as the orcs are kind of assaulting them, one by one, his greatest warriors are going down. Like one by one, they're going down, and this is not great for morale at all. But it also makes it harder on everyone else who survives. Yes.
What morale?
And at this time, Bjorn's doing his thing. He's fighting them. He's doing his best he can to protect his wife and keep himself alive. But as his men end up kind of fanning out to get more orcs, he sees the last of his honor guard just sliced down. Like they are just killed. And as they're killed, Bjorn kind of just flies into a fury basically because he's overtaken by rage, and he turns into basically like a berserker for just a few good seconds, where he just dives into the fray, like slicing down orcs with absolute precision, absolute ferocity, with just almost the greatest of ease, to the point that he actually comes up to the war boss of this attack and kills them without properly realizing.
He rolled a berserk check and got a 20.
Yep. Yeah, he literally just killed the war boss. He just fucking just did that in the blind fear of rage. But the problem is that before he could kill the war boss, or after killing the war boss, he actually heard someone crying. And as he looked back, he realized that his wife had actually been stabbed by an orc. Like an orc had taken its sword and just stabbed into her because she was defenseless.
No.
And he just fucking runs, kills the orc, and because they just seen this guy with a violent, almost animalistic rage, kill their war boss, an entire line of orcs before him, and then killed another orc in just 3 fucking steps. They kind of just panic, and because orcs are so built on morale, if they see their leader die, they're gonna fucking panic. These orcs just fucking scattered, they just booked it. They just ran.
After Bjorn's berserk check of 20, the orcs rolled a morale check and got 1.
Literally.
Yeah.
And he
just
kind of comes
the
to
Zoidberg scuttle. They're just kind of speeding off into the woods.
So Bjorn goes to his wife, and she's dead. It isn't even no last words. She's dead. He finds her, and she has already died because of the blood loss, and she's giving birth and bullshit.
Being impaled will do that to you.
Being impaled by a orc while you're giving birth might not be good for the health.
Not exactly.
And Bjorn starts crying because his wife just died. This is a traumatic thing. All of his best friends died. But as he's kind of comforting her, he hears something, and he kind of looks down. It's actually a baby, kind of kicking, it's a baby moving under her feet, and this baby is soaked in the blood of men and orc. And Bjorn looks at him, and with a mix of just unimaginable sorrow and unimaginable happiness, he cuts the umbilical cord and raises the child into the air as he begins laughing and crying at the same time to the sky. And as he does, raising the child to the night sky, a twin-tailed comet flies overhead, just right across the sky, as Bjorn is looking up and sees it across the sky. Oh, yeah. Now to Bjorn and all the primitive tribes of the Empire, they see this as light across the sky. They see it as nothing important. But to the elves and the dwarves, and even some very few humans who can actually do readings, they see this comet flying across the sky, and they know that a new age has begun.
It's kind of like that blood red comet that shows up at season 2 of Game of Thrones. That dragons are back in the world.
Yeah, that happens, I think, 2 or 3 times in the books, where there's some comet, and there's some old woman or old man in a nowhere town on the edge of the realm. They're just oh yeah, here we go. Disaster's coming again.
Oh, boys,
yeah,
the world. Here we go.
So.
Here we go. The world's coming real fast.
Yep.
So this would be the birth of Sigmar. And this is Sigmar Unbroken as he's first known.
Ooh.
So already, as a fucking baby, he has a more metal backstory than most of us.
He's a pretty cool guy. Pretty swell
More
dude.
metal backstory than any of us.
Oh, yeah.
Except for maybe Guts. But that's a different story.
Maybe. Maybe.
This definitely gives me guts feels when I was actually like reading through and remembering it, and kind of just you can't help but feel very like guts like.
Mm-hmm.
But naturally, this is the birth of Sigmar, and Sigmar he joined the tribe, and King Bjorn actually never remarries. He chooses to remain a widow, and actually chooses to care for Sigmar as a very good, caring father. Like, despite being a barbarian king who's cruel to like his men, who's leading his men, violently, fiercely, he's a warrior first. He actually treats his son with respect, with dignity, and actually treats him like a father, or he treats him like a son, not like
This
Well,
doesn't
that's just
sound like a Games Workshop production.
it's too good.
This is going too good, and I don't like it.
Exactly. Something's gonna go wrong.
Yes. So here's another thing about Sigmar is that despite being like a child, he was just big for his age. Like, he was just a big kid for his age. Like, it is said that at the age of 10, he looked 15.
Yeah.
Like, just one of those kids who hits puberty really early and really well.
It's like that picture of The Rock when he was like 15 and he looks 46.
You're just like, dang, that fucking hurts. Sigmar's a bigger guy. He's already he's already a strong kid. And some people even say that on the day of his birth, some orc blood got into him, which is why they say he's like so strong. I just think that Bjorn had a really good genes.
Yeah.
The seed is strong.
There's some kind of Destiny child too. I mean,
I know, right? He's a fucking Destiny child. Like, he's gonna be fucking great. But here's the thing, though. Despite the fact that he's a Destiny child, he's still a little shit as a kid.
Yeah.
They all are.
What I mean by that is that at the age of 10, he was stronger than kids his age. He was a tough kid. He was almost like a bully in some ways.
Why are you hitting yourself? Oh, you
nerd. But the thing is that during one of his childhood trials and rituals, one of them was actually to fight another child. This child was 13 years old. But this kid was also a bigger kid, so while he was 3 years older than Sigmar, he was actually stronger than Sigmar on top of being older than him. And Sigmar, being the bratty little prick that he is, decides fight this kid because it's part of his ritual. But he's basically gonna be really haughty, but he's gonna be really just not an asshole, but like a bratty kid about it.
Right.
And Sigmar gets fucking bodied.
Well, let me ask this guy. Does he have a name? Is it listed what his name is?
I think his name is, which one is he? I think he's Wolf. He's Wolfgang. I think his is Wolfgerd. He becomes one of Sigmar's like best buddies.
Well, let me just ask: is there such a thing as the age of Wolfgerd? I didn't think so.
Can't be that cool if you didn't get an age named about him.
Exactly. But kudos to him for putting Sigmar in his place.
Yeah, it's a good move.
It's Wolfgard.
Wolfgard. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he just fucking like bodies Sigmar, just fucking boom, just takes him out, and just like, oh, okay. Like Sigmar immediately gets humbled because he's like the bully. He's the son. He's the prince basically of the tribe. He's the prince of the tribe. He's bigger than kids his age. He can he's a prophecy child. He's a fucking like brat. And he rolls into this guy who's older than him, more experienced, just fucking bomb, like he walked into a right hook. Just Sigmar gets taken out. And
I didn't punch him. He ran into my fist. He ran into my fist 10 times.
Well, that probably saved his life, going through life realizing that, I can actually be beaten.
Yeah. He fucking goes down. But here's the thing, though. He's still a bratty little shit. And what I mean by that is Sigmar has anger issues because, he's a fucking bratty little prick at this point. And he actually ends up stealing a hammer from, like, his tribe, like a bronze hammer. And in his rage, he actually ends up just swinging onto Wolfgard. Oof. And he ends up, and again, he's fucking like 10 years old. And Wolfgard kind of realizes, like, in the last moment, oh my god, I'm gonna get hit in the back of the head. So he turns and actually ends up getting him right in the fucking, like, collarbone and actually shattering it.
Ooh.
Or I don't know if it's shattered. I'm pretty sure if you shatter, you can't use your arm anymore. But maybe Wolfgard's just built different because his arm still works later.
He gets the Artorias treatment.
Yeah. It's fine. But regardless, Sigmar like shatters this kid's arm basically, and he goes down. He's bratty. He's like, yeah, I just fucking got you. You think you can beat me? I suck attack you. He's a brat about it. But he kind of has a moment where like, oh wait a second, I just hit a guy who was unarmed, wasn't ready to fight, and I did it out of anger. And he feels kind of shitty about himself. But his dad Bjorn is even more like disappointed in him to the point that his father, out of a mix of like rage and disappointment, actually takes Sigmar away and like pulls him away. And Sigmar's like still full of rage, but he's also somewhat regretful. And he takes this boy and basically puts him on holds him in front of him. And Bjorn actually tells Sigmar that rage is not the solution. That blind rage harms anyone, even people who don't deserve it. But if you control that rage, if you can aim it like an arrow, you can find new purpose for your life. Instead of just becoming a wild flame that consumes everything, let it be a torch that guides your way.
Because the only thing worse than an angry Sigmar is a disappointed parent.
Yep. And and this is where it gets really funny, because Sigmar needs to go on like a growing trip, and this part of his life is called the breaking and the dooming of Sigmar. The breaking actually comes from what he did to Wolfgart, because he broke someone's arm, so the breaking of Sigmar.
Oh, it's not about him being broken. Okay.
No, but he does get doomed.
Doom.
So what Bjorn does, he basically brings his son to, the mountain, like the massive mountain range they live by, and he basically throws him in a hole. Not a hole, he throws him into a crypt. But it's basically their like Skyrim crypt. And within this crypt is the bodies, is like the remains of every single chieftain before Bjorn, like Bjorn's father, his father before him, every single tribe leader. And he basically throws his son in there, and he tells his son to stay in there until you can return wisdom. Like, it's basically a coming of age ritual that Bjorn himself went into. It's basically you go in there, you pray to your ancestors, you pray to your gods, and then you hope to emerge with some newfound wisdom. Like, your ancestors will speak to you in some way, or they'll give you some level of like new way of looking at living life. Like,
It sounds
like the worst timeout ever.
Now, here's the problem, though, because this is where the joke about it being a hole comes in. Because after throwing Sigmar in there, I don't want to say throw. Throw makes it sound like he just fucking punted his kid into a hole and just left.
That sounds better, honestly. That
does sound better, actually.
But Beard's kind of like, okay, stay in there until your ancestors speak to you, and he kind of leaves. It's at that moment that an earthquake happens and causes a landslide, which actually buries the entrance in and out of the tomb.
Oh shit!
So Sigmar's like trapped inside the crypt with all of his dead ancestors.
Like you said, I don't want to say he throws him in because that sounds bad, and then you follow it up with, oh, he just like buried him in the crypt.
Accidentally, on purpose.
He put him in gently, but then he buried him in.
I didn't say he buried. There was just a landslide and he got trapped in. Could have been an
That
earthquake.
totally wasn't planned.
Listen, there's no such thing as a coincidence with Destiny, children.
Nope.
Oh.
As the Witcher likes to point out. Destiny, 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 Destiny. Shut up.
Oh, dear God. Now, Sigmar, still being a bratty little angry shit, his first response is to try and punch his way out.
Naturally.
Like again, he's learning his lessons, but again, he's a fucking 10-year-old kid, so he's not gonna fucking learn his lessons properly, and he's still a brat. So his first thing is like, I'm gonna fucking punch this fucking my way out of here if I have to.
Yeah,
and, he spends his time. Yeah, he tries to fucking he ends up hurting his hand naturally. So he's trying to fucking get out, and he eventually burns himself out from all of his rage. Like, he's like sweating, he's breathing heavily. He's like, I can't fucking break my way out. What the hell's going on? He's exhausted, he's disheveled, he's kind of weak, and he kind of says a prayer almost like half-heartedly, like, oh ancestors, oh Lord Ulrich, help me out, like half-assed. But he kind of begins resting for a little bit, and as he does, he kind of begins continuing to pray, kind of like, hey, let me out, how do I get out of here? Like, I can't punch my way out, how do I get out of here? And he's kind of just, he's thinking aloud, but he's also asking for help.
Right.
And the way someone who's just lost would act. And as he kind of does, he feels like a breeze, and he kind of notices a dim little light in the distance. And it's kind of just like one of those things. Like I take back everything I said. I won't actually go vegan. But he sees a light, and his first thing is like, that can't be. I would have seen that. But naturally, because he was so overcome by rage, he wasn't looking for anything else.
Yeah,
But now he's
being too
come
much of a
down.
little shit.
Yeah, he sees the light, and he kind of starts like climbing towards. He starts climbing up. He's digging his way out, and he climbs and he climbs and he's digging and he's pushing rocks out of the way until finally he reaches the peak of the mountain.
Jeez.
Okay, it's not the peak of the mountain, but it's
high up somewhere.
It's high enough. Okay, you know what? It's high enough that I'll let you know, because he gets to the top. He's looking around, and it's at that moment that he realizes, from like the vantage point that he's at, that he can not only see his father's tribe, but he can see the entire, what is effectively the Empire's land. Like on that map that I sent you, he can basically see all of their territory. And given how massive the planet actually is in size, how high he has to be to see all this has to be fucking high in general.
And how good his eyes must be.
I know, right? He's a prophecy child.
Yeah.
But again, put in perspective. Okay, you just broke your best friend. You broke someone's arm because you lost the fight because you got too angry. Then your dad bunts you in a hole, and then potentially maybe buries you.
And the mountain just collapses of its own accord.
And then you start trying to punch your way out. That doesn't work. And then you're like, fuck, how do I get out? And then out of nowhere, there's a little escape route. It's a life-changing day for sure.
Oh, yeah. Where's the doom come in?
Oh, this was the dooming.
That was the dooming? That's pretty uplifting. I don't know.
Him getting thrown in a hole while it's buried behind him is supposed to be
he got out.
Yeah, he got out. He's fine. He's fine.
Doom is like an inevitable bad fate that you can't get away from. It seems like he got away with it pretty easily. All he did was he talked to his ancestors.
The mild maiming of Sigmar, then.
Mild maiming.
The minor daily inconvenience of Sigmar.
So Sigmar, seeing this massive stretch of land, kind of realizes something. This is pathetic.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
And I don't mean in an egotistical, oh, this is pathetic, but in a, wow. Everything humanity has is this. 12 barely kingdom-sized nations that rule this, massive stretch of land. Everything else is controlled by orcs, by beastmen. We fight each other for just a smaller plot of land, but I can see so much more. It is almost depressingly pathetic that this is the best we can achieve.
Right.
Is 12 tribes that are fighting for this small stretch of land.
So then he does get egotistical, and he's just standing up there like that duck gif where he's just
pathetic. This is pathetic.
I can appreciate it. You gotta have a leader with vision.
Yeah, I mean, he has pretty good vision. We can see all this fucking shit.
I see. He was seeing from many miles away. Saw the whole realm. He was just looking out at all this land full of people, and the lands beyond it filled with not people. And he was just thinking about it for a second, and he just goes, "It's prime real estate."
Prime real estate. I'm looking at these giant, big tracts of land, and these people and these ladies in it with these big tracts of land.
But the Third Empire stayed up.
Oh my god. This is where Sigmar's, this is where his vision begins, for reference. This is where his dreams, his goals become, the thing that he does now.
He doesn't let his dreams be dreams anymore. Oh boy.
He goes the distance.
Did the mic pick that up?
Oh my god. I hate you all. I hate it here.
You love it.
So Sigmar eventually returns to his village, and this is where the dad calls the rock slide theory kind of might be true, because his dad's like, "Oh, Sigmar, you're okay. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, good job getting out of that hole." So, did you have any life-changing experiences in there? And it's just okay. Fucking thanks, Dad.
Well, you know what a good old rock slide's good for. Put some hair on your chest, man. Builds character.
Yeah, you got to see him with like one of those things you would see in like a Roadrunner cartoon, where after you press the thing down for the dynamite and it's just spent. He's just got one of those in his hand. He's got a dirty shovel in the other.
Now, here's the thing though. Sigmar actually goes and apologizes to Wolfgart. Like, that's the first thing he does after he greets his father, is that he goes to apologize to him.
And
There's
his arm
character
is suddenly
development.
fixed.
He suddenly fixed just one traumatic event, and he's fixed.
It's all better.
The power of
right.
apology fixed his bones.
Literally.
Oh my god, I can play the violin again. But yes, yes, an apology fixed Wolfgart's arm and makes him so much better. No,
The power of friendship, everyone.
It does take him time to recover his arm, obviously, but he gains something better than an arm. A new friend.
Aw, it is a love story.
I guess if that friend is going to turn out to be the Emperor, I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
I don't know. I mean, Sigmar has a track record of, I'll get to it when I get to it.
I don't know about that part.
You'll notice
I'm getting a lot of Epic of Gilgamesh vibes because
yeah, actually, come to think of it.
Because, like, think of it, like Sigmar, Gilgamesh, born the God King, Destiny Child, Destiny. Anyways,
yeah,
meets a guy and they really rough each other up, and then they become best friends.
Yep.
I mean, there's a similar part about it, especially a similar ending.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
Uh-oh.
What?
Besides the point. So on top of becoming friends with Wolfgart, Sigmar, he's a shit, but he's becoming better. He's naturally becoming a more mature person as he gets older, and as he does, he actually becomes friends with a bunch of other people in the tribe, like a bunch of other kids his age, or like roughly his age.
Less violence this time, though.
Please, no killing each other.
Because if you had to break somebody's arm to make a friend, I mean, the village is going to run out of people with functional arms.
But this is how we make friends in our village.
He becomes friends with someone named Pendrag and Triviantes.
All right.
Both those names don't sound as German as Wolfgart, but I'll leave it.
Yeah,
but Pendrag sounds very similar to Arthur Pendragon.
Oh, interesting. How odd. But he becomes friends with these people, and as he's older, as he's becoming friends with them, he actually starts to like share his dream with them. Not to the full extent of just like, yeah, guys, I want to take over the world, but no, very much kind of just like, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool if we like made our village better, like bigger? Like imagine if like we were everywhere. Like what if we were, what starts off as like kind of childish, like you and your friends are sitting around a campfire, you guys are talking about just what your dreams would be. Except these guys are, barbarians who look like they're like in their late teens, despite being like 13, 14.
Guys, wouldn't it be nice if we could stop getting punked by the greenskins and the beastmen and the knife ears and the dwarves? It'd be really cool if we would stop getting killed by them.
And then on Wednesdays we wear pink. Because real men wear pink.
Very inclusive.
Just imagining a whole tribe, and it's perfectly fitting with the artwork I saw. It's very Viking, very dramatic. But then there's just one guy in like a Hawaiian shirt, just for flavor.
Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! God damn it, Ted! We told you not to bring the Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
It's the age of white boy summer now, boys.
Oh my fucking god!
Oh man.
Honestly, Age of White Boy Summer is actually pretty hilarious with what comes up next.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
So, Sigmar is sharing his dreams with his friends or whatever, and the thing is that originally his dream kind of starts off as like, again, pathetic, like this is what we can accomplish, but it very much starts off as like, well, I want to make our tribe better. I want to make like just generally our tribe just better, bigger. I want to undo a lot of bad things. So like, he's working a bit harder when it comes to like when he's making the fields. He's trying more because he knows that there could be more. And one of the things he kind of swears to himself and to his gods, because humans have their own gods, he actually like almost makes an oath, or so he kind of makes a prayer to them that he'll basically undo all the wrongs unto his tribe, and he will undo these however, like in whatever way he sees fit, that to his mind like fulfills whatever wrong was done.
Right.
And as a child, one of the stories his father would always tell him was of the black boar. And apparently, Bjorn's father, like Sigmar's grandfather, he actually, during a hunt, actually scorned one of the human gods named Tal, who's a god of the harvest and the hunt. And he actually, like, spurned him. Like, he didn't give him the proper offerings. He just used the god's blessings for his own kind of glory and vanity.
Right.
And the god Tal actually summoned a boar, like a black furred boar, but it was said to be the size of a black stallion.
Ooh.
And it was said that almost nothing could harm it. And this boar got revenge by killing Bjorn's uncle, so Sigmar's other grandfather, or I guess great uncle rather, and killing him. And so the bull has always like wandered the Umberogan like borders, kind of killing Umberogan people, especially going out like particularly harassing the kings if they ever like leave their territory. Right. Like if they ever leave the safety, like it's almost like a vindictive boar. And Sigmar has actually like remembers this, and he kind of like shares it to his friends, like around a campfire, like, "Hey, what if we hunted the boar?"
What if we
and
killed that boar?
Yeah, and again, like these kids are like 13, 14, so like they're again they have like barbarian-esque physiques, but they're still kids, and they're all kind of like, "Oh, that's stupid." Some of them don't even believe in the boar. Like they don't even think it's just like a bigger boar. They don't like comprehend how big it is. And
this is like Lord of the Flies, but like way cooler in every way.
Yeah.
Gotta make that bacon somehow.
Yeah. And Sigmar is kind of just like, he's annoyed, he's limb but he's also kind of like, no, I can do this. So he actually invites his friends on basically it's a fishing trip. Like, hey guys, go down to the river, like right outside our border, like right outside our territory, right by this river, and let's catch some fish. Totally unrelated to the conversation we had last night. And naturally, all of them follow him because they're fucking teenage boys who aren't gonna fucking listen. And naturally, the fucking boar like rides up on them and is like totally prepared to kill all four.
Oh yeah.
I'm going straight from Epic and Gilgamesh vibes just to Hercules with the what was it called, the Erymanthian boar.
I mean, if you want to be honest, Sigmar is basically a mix of Hercules and Gilgamesh.
I can believe that.
Maybe with a little bit of like Thor thrown in, like a little bit of Thor thrown in. And the Sigmar sees this thing, and he sees it just like this massive boar, and he realizes, like in that instant, oh, I can't kill this thing. And immediately, all of his friends scatter. Like they just like ditch him. Like one of them dives into the fucking river to get away, and another just fucking books it. The other one just fucking books it. They're just fucking running. They just leave Sigmar there. And this boar, like again, because he's a prince, they're gonna go after him specifically. So it rushes at him, and Sigmar kind of like ducks under. He's kind of like wrestling it, and as he like, I don't want to say he's wrestling. It's more just like this thing is like trying to trample him, and he's like barely holding on to not die. And as he's like kind of rallying this thing, he's like, I can't kill it. I can't even like bring it down. The thing is too strong. And as he's kind of like grappling it, he actually notices that actually is a spear like embedded in like right inside of it, like right underneath its fur. And as he's kind of moving around wrestling this thing, he actually like grabs onto the spear, and there's a moment of him that wants like his barbarian side wants to like plunge it like deeper into the boar's body, but another part of him actually doesn't, because it was scored by Tal. He kind of has a like level of sympathy for it, and he actually like rips the spearhead out of its side, and the boar ends up kind of knocking him down. And just as it's about to kill him, it stops and ends up kind of like looking at him. And there's a moment of almost like thanks between the bull and Sigmar. And it kind of like walks away and is never seen again. Like it just walks off into the woods and is never seen again.
Well done.
A lot more nuance to this emperor, I tell you what.
Indeed.
I mean, getting kicked in the hole will definitely do that for you.
Well, I thought you were gonna hit me with just like, Oh, so Sigmar just kind of grabbed the boar and teleported it to Mars and left it there and came back. That's kind of the story I was expecting.
We'll just leave it here for now. I'll get back to it when I get back to it.
I can't kill it, but it'll be useful later, so I need to keep it somewhere.
At the same time though, like Sigmar being effectively the prince and being best friends, like having a number of best friends, all of whom are kind of like, oh my god, I can't believe you fucking did this. He has like a popularity among the tribe. Like,
Sure.
People like him. They're like, wow, this guy is pretty fucking cool, which he is, obviously. I said, like, Sigmar, I'm not going to fucking lie.
Well, yeah.
And the thing is, though, is that there's actually one person among the tribe who actually takes great interest in him, and that's that's one of his friends, Triviante's sister, Ravana.
Uh-oh.
And I think she's a year older than him, but they're roughly the same age. And, she sees him, and he sees her, and there's always, like, that immediate, like, oh, this is going to be, like, if I could marry her, I'd marry her.
Right.
And she has like attractions to him. And while they kind of like get along and they talk, there's never anything more than like we're friends talking, even though like both of them very clearly have very strong feelings for each other.
Forbidden love.
Yeah, forbidden love, maybe kind of.
Listen, he's got more important things to do.
Like conquer all this land.
Oh, yeah.
Big
I was going to
tracts
say,
of
you
land.
were talking about him just like getting this obsession where his dreams are just kind of increasing. He's like, want to expand the borders here. We're going to right all the wrongs to the tribe. We're going to make the tribe better. Like, I almost heard you getting more German and angry as it went along.
Make the tribe great again.
German. Kill them all. Oh, I should say Sigmar's Valkyrie in German. That'd be fucking awkward. But yeah, Sigmar's kind of like, he's fulfilling like all the minor oaths all the minor wrongs his village has been done. He's even like accomplished a number of like counter raids. Like again, this tribe is bordered by many other tribes, and so they're going to be obviously invaded. He actually like specifically takes like battles or like defensive zones against tribes that have previously like attacked them as almost like a way of getting vengeance, as a way of like redeeming some sense of like lost honor.
Yeah.
And again, he's gaining a following. People are like respecting him. His friends are like admiring him more than anything else. And eventually he actually gets the idea that, well, why am I stopping at my tribe? Why don't I expand more? Like there's other wrongs. Like he basically done all the side quests in his town. He's like, there's more XP over there.
Oh, yeah.
So he basically does like a Leonidas walk where he actually brings like a bunch of his friends, because he basically has like a posse following him now. They're like, they see what he's doing and they see him almost like not a hero figure, but like someone who has ambition to like undo wrongs, and so naturally gonna follow him.
It's not just like a really tough guy that everybody listens to. It's a guy who actually has like some things he needs to do beyond just killing people.
Yeah, you just see this big guy strolling up into the village and he's just doing the livesy walk with everyone following him behind him.
And Sigmar kind of is like, you know what? Because he's retaliated against the human tribes that attacked him. But there's other tribes in the forest. There's greenskin tribes.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
This is where I think Sigmar starts to get a little too much like an anime character, because dude's like 15 at this point. And I'm kind of just like, even at 15, I don't think you should be fucking doing some bullshit like this. But you know what? You're fucking cool.
The power of anime compels him.
I got the power of the gods and anime on my side.
He has friends. He'll never give up on them. He'll never surrender.
Oh dear God!
The power of
anime
friendship.
fire up at the precise moment. Honestly, that might be coming up depending on how you want to view it. So Sigmar and his men, he brings, I believe, Pendrag is like the ranger. He's the guy who's really good with tracking. At any rate, they're basically tracking like the most recent greenskin invasion, the most greenskin like raid on their territory. And as they're going, they actually find the greenskin camp, like where this camp is set up. But it's a lot more smaller than when they attacked. But they're also like they're a lot more like injured, more than they had been when they attacked. Like basically they've attacked something else in between then.
Right.
And as Sigmar's kind of like observing, he actually notices that And this is where it gets kind of funny. Like, basically, trapped in chains near the tent of the war boss is a dwarf. But this isn't just any dwarf. This is the most dwarf. This is Krogan Ironbeard.
I like that name.
And he is actually the High King of the dwarves, the current High King, anyway.
Okay, that's a pretty good catch.
Basically, he was captured. And he's basically wrapped in chains. The goal was that the orcs were actually going to like trade him off as like a hostage, basically. And as Sigmar's looking at this, he actually like looks at them and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I mean, we can take him."
Yeah.
And it's just like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're having a fight today. Okay, I guess that's what we're doing."
We's gonna fight.
Well, they have the element of surprise, and they're basically on like a victory streak, so they're gonna fucking go for it. And they basically ambush this tribe of orcs, but orcs are orcs, so they're stronger than humans. So even though Sigmar had superior like numbers in this fight, even though he's doing what he can to like attack them, even though he's doing his own thing, he's fighting. He's using like Bronze Age weapons to fight the orcs, and they're fighting back and bullshit, whatever. They do a decent amount of damage to those orcs up until the war boss actually enters. Now, the war boss isn't just any orc; he's a black orc.
You racist.
I mean, the black orc. They aren't actually black. It's more that their orc skin color is green, but their skin color is such a dark shade of green that it could almost be confused with black. But in the right light, you can see the shades and the the green in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to know anything about the black orcs, they were made by the dwarves. Well, they were made by the Chaos dwarves to be used as slaves.
There's
Nope, I'm not going to go there.
For reference, a black orc is stronger, tougher, harder to kill, and slightly smarter.
Now that's a dangerous idea. Why would you create a slave race and make it smarter than the race you created it out of? That sounds like a really bad idea.
The idea was for the orcs to be intelligent enough to like use like equipment and to like understand like complex like functions and bullshit. Like, oh, it must know math so it can like build a building better.
Right.
But
hindsight is as we know.
They literally all escaped within the first generation of black orcs. Literally escaped, and every single one of them went on to basically become their own war boss of their own clan, basically.
And they're reproducing much like in 40K, right?
Yes.
Fungal? Okay.
Yeah. So like a black orc will also make another black orc.
Oh, that's brutal.
Very brutal.
I think they take a little bit longer for a black orc to reproduce, like for them to be born compared to like green orc. So like the numbers are always like fairly like consistent. Like there's always like 10-1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But regardless, like the black orcs are not okay. And he comes in, and very quickly he just switches the tone of the fight. Like before, like Sigmar was he was winning. It was a sneak attack. Now it's very much okay. Well, this is very clearly not a sneak attack. We are fucking like getting bodied by this guy. And he just like he is standing there and he's killing people. He's he's a black orc. He's bigger, stronger, and more bullshit than regular orcs.
It's more bullshit.
But Sigmar, being a guy with determination about anything else, he fucking like charges this orc to go 1v1 it.
Oh yeah.
You want to feel the determination.
But here's the thing though, as this is happening, Krogan Ironbeard is watching this whole thing go on, and he's kind of just looking at it, and he's like, "Well, this is a good enough escape as any." And he kind of breaks out of the chains, like he like flexes and just breaks himself out.
So he could have done that the entire time. Seems like.
Well, the idea was like he was waiting for like a rescue or something, or like a good opportunity to actually escape. Like he's not gonna like break free when he's surrounded by orcs. He's gonna wait till like the cavalry come in. He's just like, okay, well, I mean, this is good enough.
Yep.
It's like
don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You got to take your opportunities when you get them.
It's true. It's like in Avatar: The Last Airbender when King Boomy's like stuck in that stone coffin, and then like the solar eclipse happens. Like, okay, good enough time Good enough time for any. Boom. Just busts out.
But yes, so he kind of Croak and Ironbeard breaks free, and as he's looking at this fight, he notices very quickly, can a 15-year-old barbarian with a bronze sword fight a black orc? Apparently not, because the bronze sword shattered when it touched the black orc's skin. He was basically he's parrying the attack. He's moving out of the way, then he goes for the thrust, and it literally just shatters against its chest.
That's a bit of an
Oof.
So not ideal.
No.
Does Sigmar have like psyker powers? Like
No,
defensive ones? No? Okay.
he's literally just a dude, but he's a strong ass dude.
He's just Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, he's basically Conan the Barbarian, but younger.
Barbarian.
Now, realizing very quickly that, okay, well, I can't do anything with this. Like, I can't fucking do it. Sigmar's basically forced to play defense. Like, he's dodging, he's bobbing and weaving and bullshit. But while this is happening, Krogan Ironbeard's like, right. And he goes into the Orc War Boss's tent, which is really, like, right next door, like, swearing while he's doing it. Like, he's just fucking, like, swearing under his breath. And he grabs one of the trophies of the War Boss's, like, tent. And it's actually his own hammer. Like, Krogan Ironbeard's hammer got stolen by the orc. And he picks it up, and it's a dwarven warhammer, which is made out of the very, very strong star metal.
Fantasy metal bullshit.
Yep. So it's basically like adamantium.
Ah.
Unobtainium.
Oh yes, unobtainium. It's so important.
It is so important.
Somebody should have gotten fired for that, honestly.
Somebody should have.
Yes.
More than one person, actually, honestly.
Everyone involved should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, so he takes this hammer, and immediately sees Sigmar about to like the war boss has his sword and it's ready to come down on him. And Krogan Ironbeard with like another good like dwarven swear, fucking throws the warhammer at Sigmar. Like he just fucking like hucks it at him. Which I think is a dumb idea. You should have aimed for the war boss, but I'm not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the guy.
He's like, nope, this is your fight. You handle it. Peace out.
But here's the thing, though. As the hammer was flying towards Sigmar, he catches it. Like he catches almost like reflexively, instinctually. He like just catches it effortlessly with one arm. Which again, it's made out of fantasy metal bullshit, which is made for dwarves, which means that it's probably really fucking heavy.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine.
Could be like Thor's hammer, where it's made from the heart of a dying star.
Made in the heart of a dying star, actually.
In the heart of a dying star.
But he catches the hammer and he immediately uses to block the orc's sword swing. Like it stops it. And it's almost in the same moment he kind of stepped, like he was basically on his back, catches it, he blocks it, and he immediately pivots to the side, stands up in the same singular motion, and just a quick bam, bam, just a good 2 swings. He fucking kills the black orc.
Get it, the good old 1-2 punch. And
in the hammer that he now has is called Galmaraz, the Skull Splitter.
Apt.
Metal.
Very apt.
No, naturally, with the war boss dead, a lot of the orcs scatter. But again, Sigmar brought friends, so they immediately start killing the panicking orcs. And at the same moment, Sigmar actually approaches Krogan Ironbeard. And out of a moment of kind of respect, again, because he's old, but also as a recognition of thank you for saving my life, he actually tries to give Krogan Ironbeard the hammer back. Like, oh, here you go, thank you for saving me. And Krogan Ironbeard shakes his head and says, no, because that's a dwarven hammer, and it's a hammer so old and so powerful that has ancient magic like hammered into it, to the point that the hammer is said to be alive. That the hammer has basically always been Sigmar's, like it was made for him. The crafter just didn't know it at the time.
Right, it was just fated.
Destiny.
And Destiny Child all the way again.
Sigmar's powers, he can see like 5 pages ahead in the script whenever he wants.
AKA the best plot armor ever.
So Sigmar has the hammer, and he's kind of just like, okay, well, this is fine. But Krogan Ironbeard says, like, this basically begins the start of the Dwarven and Human Alliance. Because Krogan Ironbeard, like I said, he was a dwarf, and the dwarves had assaulted the humans before, viewing them as, pests that need to be put down. he actually realized that maybe the humans, there's more to them than, very primitive barbarians, given the fact that a single one of them is able to kill a black orc, which had defeated had attacked his force and taken him out. So it's very much almost like an alliance of convenience, as in, basically, we will become defensive partners. If you're attacked, I'll come to you. If I'm attacked, you have
Right.
to come to help me. And in
Okay.
return for this pact, we will exchange, teachings, knowledge, and technology.
Mm.
So naturally, some humans return with Krogan to his Kazakh, which is a dwarven castle, a dwarven hold, and Sigmar returns with some dwarves and actually some dwarven weapons back to the Umbarogan tribe, which he very quickly gives to them, which immediately makes them even better at fighting, because they went
Oh,
from
yeah.
bronze to steel age really fucking fast.
Moon
Oh yeah,
rock
arms race, baby.
minerals.
Yeah. Which naturally meant that in combat, our soldiers were better against the other tribes.
Oh,
But okay, but Sigmar, he's stronger. He returns back. He's basically again, he's bringing resources back, but he doesn't. But he actually convinces his father to actually give some of the weapons and resources to neighboring tribes as almost like a peace offering, and
Right.
as a almost don't attack us, take this instead.
right.
Almost it's not to feign weakness, but it's more just hey, instead of fighting us, why don't you just take these and we'll call it what we just won't fight. It was
Yeah.
basically Sigmar's way to show peace and try to be diplomatic. And again,
Well, it's
his
like-
father was like, oh, go
Let's
ahead.
not fight. Here's some weapons, though.
Oh, I was gonna say it's like Abaddon giving the Blackstone Fortress to Huron Blackheart, but
That's be-
remarkably more intelligent because Abaddon's a moron.
Agreed. But this would basically happen over for the next year. Sigmar's kind of assisting his father. He's basically the hand of the tribe, and his
Right.
forces are getting better weapons and bullshit, to the point that a number of actually towns, hamlets, have actually started to become small cities in just a short period of a year.
Right.
And this is because of dwarven help and human ingenuity and just their sheer numbers.
Yeah.
And as a result, this village, Astofen, becomes the target of basically a counterattack against the humans from the orcs, because the orcs didn't like that a black orc was killed, a war boss was killed, so they're gonna get revenge.
Right.
As you do.
Very sensible.
Yes, of course. And Bjorn actually calls Sigmar to it, and Sigmar kind of expects, oh, I'm gonna be in trouble because I killed the orc a year ago, whatever. And Bjorn actually tells Sigmar that this is time to become a man, as if he wasn't already a man. But
All that other stuff that was baby stuff.
basically, it's time to earn his shield name. It's basically your war title, and to prove that he's a man, he will basically join a proper army, because everything that he was leading before was a small band, a small group of soldiers, basically.
Right.
This is now going to be, you are going to lead in a actual army. And so Bjorn actually gives a Sigmar a decently sized contingent of forces to basically lift the siege against Alstofen, which he actually does. He actually fucking goes in, and the battle for Alstofen is pretty impressive. But the concept is that it's on the other side of a river, and there's a single stone bridge that crosses it. And Sigmar's forces, basically, their goal was to blue ball the orcs. I mean that as literally as possible. They would charge, and then they would retreat. They would charge, and then they would retreat, and the orcs would continue charging, and then run into a spear line or into arrows. So they would charge and be like, "Why aren't you charging back? Why are you running away?"
This is not
And the
how you
goal
do
was
the war.
It was basically to hype the orcs up so much that in their rage and just, we want to fucking crumb something, that they would start attacking each other, and their rank, any organization would break apart. And it was fucking working because they were so eager to fight. They would punch each other to let out frustration, or they would just fucking continue charging even though they know it's a bad idea. The problem though is that the orcs kind of actually got the upper hand. They end up getting in advance going, and Sigmar had to retreat across the bridge. But his friend, like, he brought his 3 friends with him. But one of his friends, what's his name? Teretes? Sorry, I can't probably remember his name. It's a fucking, like, weird name. But regardless, Thymedes, that's his name. Sorry. I looked at my notes fast. But regardless, he actually has his contingent, like his small group, his small units, stay behind on the other side of the bridge, allowing Sigmar and his like main force to leave. The problem is that basically his friend's like, "Hey, I'll see you on the other side. I'm retiring in 2 weeks." You know, he's giving all the fucking death flags,
Oh no!
and yeah, he ends up getting impaled.
Damn, I
If
was
I
2
remember
days from
right.
retirement.
It's his birthday. He's retiring tomorrow. He's got a picture of his kids he'll show you.
Like all the
His
red
wife-
flags there.
It's their anniversary. It's him and his wife's anniversary. But you know, he fucking dies. Like Thymedes is dead, and Sigmar actually experiences something very similar to what his father experienced when when all of Sigmar's friends were killed. And this is basically like a rage that is said to be like very common among like the old world's men. It's basically
Right.
like it's a berserker's madness is what it is. And Sigmar immediately like just fucking charges. Like he orders all of men just fucking berserker charge in. And which isn't a great plan. But because the orcs were already like so like overwhelmed by like a desire to fight that they don't actually realize that there's a massive like charge right in their flanks that just wipes them out.
Not just a massive charge, a one-man charge.
Oh yeah.
It just should we follow him? Probably. Yeah, he's their leader.
Nah, he's got this.
He's got the keys. Oh shit.
It was a poor move, but he saw the script. He knew it would succeed.
What do we do?
He chose
Peter doesn't
poorly.
need a driver. Oh shit. So eventually the battle for Asophin is freed. Like the siege is lifted. Sigmar's made an honorary like a man. Like I said, it's he should already be a man at this point, but you know, it's just me.
He's not just a man; he's an honorary man. So what does that make you?
There's something pretty strange about the term honorary man.
Pretty sure everyone is an honorary man in front of Sigmar.
It's like that's what they would like give to the orc. It'd be like, oh, you're a pretty cool guy. You're an honorary human.
Now, the thing is that, well, Sigmar's friend Thymedes is dead. That doesn't stop Ravana from continuing to hit on him.
Oh, sure, sure.
Oh yes.
My brother is dead, but I love you even more. The problem is, though, is that, well, Ravana still loved Sigmar.
Sigmar, we must continue the line.
Oh my gosh. Thymedes and Ravana had another brother, and his name was Garion, and he basically blamed Sigmar for his brother's death.
Yeah.
Because basically it was, oh, I see what my brother did. Like, I know what my brother did. He held the bridge so he could escape. That's not like bravery. That's cowardice. Like, you got him killed because you didn't hold the bridge, but he did, kind of thing.
Right.
Now, will this come to bite him in the ass? Show of hands.
I think he's gonna lose an arm, honestly.
What do you think, girls?
Something's gonna bite him.
Something's definitely gonna bite him. Now,
Yeah.
the thing
Maybe his own
is,
hubris.
a Destiny Child with hubris? Impossible. Well, I mean, that's pretty close, actually, because Sigmar, while he was sad that one of his best friends died, he had basically become like, I don't want to say consumed by the mission, but it was almost like he died. I have to achieve this now. Like, for his sake, I have to achieve this. So he actually like pushes even harder into like these like wars, and he actually basically leads a war of extermination against basically any non-humans or anyone who was not aligned to like humanity's cause, basically.
So anyone besides like humans and dwarves.
Yeah,
I'm pretty down for that.
So
Like,
that's where the
pretty down.
non-human xenophobia comes from.
he torched massive sections of the forest to like cause beastmen to to flee into the open, where he would have his people like run them down and kill them.
Well, the Beastmen were technically humans, right? That's really him just taking out the garbage.
Yeah, they're basically humans who were mutated by magic, like the warp.
Must cleanse the warp taint.
Yes, and like all of them, have, like they basically given into like their animalistic natures, then they've literally become like half human, half animal.
Right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't
Gross.
say they're I wouldn't say they're human anymore.
Well, no, I mean, like, I guess you would say ethnically they're human, but they've been
Yeah.
twisted and distorted.
Yeah, so he's just killing them. He's also killing more orcs naturally because, of course, he is.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because there's always more orcs.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't
Sigmar's-
actually get rid of them.
Sigmar's belief is any number of orcs is too many.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Yep.
So this naturally caused Sigmar's ego to actually return, though his genocide of the orcs and the greenskins and the beastmen. But it wasn't so much. Okay, I don't want to say ego. It was more like pride in humanity, because there was an actual reason why he was attacking the beastmen and the orcs. The territory that these two occupied was like in between all of the tribes and even bordered the other tribes like territories. So Sigmar and his force of the Unbrogans would actually invade other tribes' territories, but never to invade them, just to prematurely kill orc and beastmen assaults before they happened.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh.
Because, like, in his mind, he had repaid all the debts, all the wrongs that these tribes had done to him. So in his mind, it was basically, okay, all of them are like a blank slate. If I'm seeing someone getting attacked, I should defend them. It's my moral responsibility.
Right.
Yes.
So he's basically like doing this fucking like one. I don't want to say one man army. Like he's leading this fucking crusade through all these territories, purging beastmen, purging orcs, and naturally this caused him to gain like a lot of fame among basically all the tribes.
Yeah.
It was a mix of both fame and resentment. Like, oh, how dare you invade our territory? But dang, you're invading our territory and taking our enemies out for us.
So it's like, do we kind of give you a pass? I don't know. It's cool in our book, but it's not. Tough choices.
It's kind of convenient, but it doesn't really jive with our ego. It's a bit.
That's pretty factual.
The three
problem,
things you never do to a man: never mess with his lady, never mess with his ego, and never mess with his money.
That's true. Sigmar lives by those words. So, this though actually caused a lot of the other tribes, like I said, to become resentful, and a lot of them, I don't want to say a lot of them, there were some of them, particularly the ones nearest the Unbrogans, who wanted to take advantage of Sigmar's basically generosity.
Right.
Because he was basically taking the Unbroken army like all over the place, it meant that Unbroken lands were defenseless. So even though Sigmar literally defended them from orcs and beastmen before they invaded, some tribes had the audacity to actually invade Unbroken tribes while Sigmar was gone.
Right.
The audacity!
Which really pissed off Bjorn. He's still alive at this point. And he was basically just like, you know what, when Sigmar gets back, things are going to be so bad for everyone involved, including me.
Oh, God.
Fuck. I'm going to have separate so many apology letters.
Don't second guess me or my son ever again.
Imagining a little Bjorn right beside him with a big ass head holding a big ass hammer. Regardless, though, while this was going on, one of the tribes that live in this area was actually starting to get their own little sense of a little too cocky, a little too confident. And when I mean cocky and confident, what I actually mean is corrupted and full of chaos.
That follows, yeah.
Getting a little too big for their britches, aren't they?
Yeah.
The northernmost tribe was known as the Norsil. And this tribe was basically very northern Germanic tribes, basically barbarian, basically like Viking barbarians.
Right.
And
isn't Sigmar kind of like a Viking barbarian?
a little bit, but he's more like Conan the Barbarian, where these guys are more like the Europeans' demonic version of a Viking.
Ooh.
Like, you know,
Just
how they
enough
would,
of a distinction.
yeah, how they would vilify the Vikings.
Yeesh.
Sigmar is like the Scandinavian bloodline that invaded England and then took it over and became English.
Yeah,
Ah,
he gets it.
this guy gets
So,
it.
Those dang Normans.
So overall, the North still getting powerful, and the thing is that they're rising in power because they're raiding their own nearby tribes. Luckily, the Umbrogans were like on the other side of the map, so
Right.
that was fine. It was more like the northern enemies that had their people basically like raided and like taken as slaves and sacrifices. Because if you remember, the north and south pole are kind of chaos corrupted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
So
about right.
so because the northernmost human tribe is probably going to be exposed to chaos, they've actually started worshiping the chaos gods.
They just decided, yeah, whatever.
Well,
Might as
the
well.
idea is, imagine living in like Greenland.
Which is ironically not green.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
imagine living in Greenland, but it's twice the size and it's colder.
Yeah.
Got us there.
Like you kind of got no choice but to like worship whatever you can. You kind of gotta like take whatever gifts you can get. And if you start hearing voices saying, "Hey, kill 3 goats, and I'll give you like a suit of power armor and like a flaming sword," are you really gonna say no?
Yeah, it's a pretty good offer, honestly.
Alrighty then.
I literally mean they got like suits of like steel armor and a flaming and like actual flaming swords.
Pretty dope.
Yeah.
Do you
Nah.
get that? Do you get to kill the goats with the sword, or do you have to kill them before you get the sword?
You had to kill the goats before.
Ah.
That's what I've been told anyway from first
That's a
hand
good one,
experience.
the hassle.
But still only 3 goats for a suit of power armor? Hell yes.
Yeah, but what actual technology are they using at that point in time?
Does it matter at that point? If it's
I mean-
if it's steel powered armor and flaming fucking swords, I
It's a bit of
mean
a hassle to kill 3 goats with like a rock. That's
Not only that,
It's not fun.
if you live in Greenland, you have to find 3 goats first.
yeah, that's also true.
yep.
My brother Timmy lost 3 fingers and 2 toes looking for a rare goat. I have not seen him since Wednesday.
Oh. And we still need to find 2 more goats.
No, that is not a goat. That is your wife.
Oh shit.
So, naturally the North still are not great people. They have naturally been growing like more fervent and more zealous over the years, but they've become even more extreme now because allegedly their gods have said a new age of darkness is coming. So naturally these guys are like, crusade? Crusade?
Would you say a great crusade?
No, it was a horrible, horrible crusade. There was a
So-
lot of death and a lot of murder.
A dark crusade, if you will.
Yes, a black crusade maybe.
One might even say.
Oh my god.
What's wrong with us?
I feel like we got progressively more stupid as this podcast went on.
It's been known to happen.
We're only 4 episodes in. If we weren't already there by episode 1.5.
So,
Considering you decided to start with the rat people, I mean, it was pretty much there from the start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were doomed. We actually had
agreed
a
on
discussion about this.
this even doomed us all.
Yep, we came in too strong,
Yes.
delved
The
too
warpstone
greedily
hit
in
us
too
too
deep.
much. Oh god.
The legendary place to start, honestly. It's
Agreed.
as good as any. Just the fact that you considered it a minor event that they decided to move the moon and then someone else blew it up was pretty telling of the scale of events going on.
I mean, it was pretty significant, don't you think?
Like I said, in the grand scheme of things, not really. The world was blowing up.
Yeah, all kinds of other stuff was going on.
So with the whole world blowing up, what's a warpstone moon?
Look, Sigmar threw his hammer, he lost it in the warp. As far as I'm concerned, the escape from moving the moon and then blowing up is small beans.
Yeah.
Note to self, do not throw hammer that you use as weapon into giant screaming vortex of infinite nothingness.
It is not like Mjolnir. It does not fly back to you.
Just instant. Oh, maybe that wasn't smart.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't know that. Maybe nobody told him that.
He immediately like pulls out like a pocketbook that says like Warhammer instructions, and he's like, "Oh, it doesn't come back."
You missed the fine print, idiot. Dumbass.
So, can you guys guess what Sigmar thought when he found out about the North Still invasion?
It sounded like they could use some fire. Is my idea of what he thought.
Yes, and not the good kind either.
Oh.
Grabs the warhammer and goes like, "Yep, That's a paddling.
Sigmar was actually super depressed because instead of being able to fight in the front lines, he was immediately called home. Apparently, Sigmar's dad, Bjorn, had heard that two of the northern tribes that border the Northsill actually combined their forces, which is the first time any tribes have actually like officially banded together in like a long time. And they both attacked the Northsill and were defeated. Like they were defeated and the people were like enslaved. So Bjorn's immediate thought was, okay, well, if two tribes can't do it, we might have to bring everyone together and, do something. Which there was which Sigmar both liked and hated because he actually believed that because he had such a strong belief of humanity being together that he should lead the expedition. But recognizing his father's age, his talent, and the fact that it's your father, Sigmar kind of went back home with his head held down.
No, I am your father.
But Dad, there's so many more orcs to kill. But Bjorn would greet his son Sigmar and would basically put him in charge of the village. Like he basically crowned him, like, "Hey, you're the tribe's leader, the chieftain. While I'm gone, but while I am away, you need to keep the peace. You need to hold everything together. I will go, and I will. Basically, it was a collection of I think it was 4 or 5 tribes that would basically coalesce and fight the Northsill." And so the idea was, the Umbrogans would go first, and they would regroup with 2 others, and they would regroup with 2 more, and they would meet the Northsill head on and fight them. Now, this sounds pretty cool. The problem is Sigmar is not involved in it. You know what he does instead?
What?
He hooks up with Ravana.
Oh.
Bow, bow, bow.
Yeah, that's great timing.
Basically, Dad's gone. He's kind of depressed. He's gonna see his girlfriend, kind of.
My parents aren't home. Come over.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Sends a raven. A raven to like the next hut, or the next like wooden hut over. It just says "you up."
WYD.
But it's like an arrow pointing up, and then it's like a U, but it's like a very poorly drawn U. And then she sends it back, and it's like a nodding head, like you're just sending like fucking pictograms back and forth. And he gets one where it's like a drawing of her own body, but like with boobs and legs, and it's like a stick figure thing.
I was just imagining like those ancient cave paintings of just a bunch of stick men holding spears.
He sends that to her. But Sigmar and Ravana, they're hanging out. They're being very close, as you do. But
as you do.
Sigmar, being a barbarian king, he's also romantic.
Who'd have thunk?
He brings her to like the river, where I believe he fought the boar, and it was basically meant to be like a nice like romantic, like we're sitting by the river, like having a date. Basically, it was a picnic.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking hilarious. Like, I'm Sigmar, big barbarian king who can kill an orc in 2 swings, but I'm gonna have a little romantic picnic with my girlfriend.
It's like that like third of Attack of the Clones where it's just Anakin and Padme having weird dinners.
Meanwhile, cut to his dad leading like 5 different armies at once, leading from the front against like basically Vikings clad in like really heavy black armor, wielding flaming swords while demons are all over the place.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to Sigmar and Ravina. I don't like sand.
No, in this case, it'd be I don't like mushrooms.
Well, sometimes the tribal leaders don't agree. Well, then they should be made to.
I mean, given what Sigmar does in the whole building an empire.
Accurate. Very accurate.
I mean, she does it in a very similar to Padme. Right now, because while Sigmar is having his little date, and while the Northsill are invading, chaos is like rising in power, and it actually creeps into the mind of someone, Garion. Ravana's brother, and his brother died. And what happens is Garion, in his rage and in his selfishness and his ego and his pride, he actually draws a sword. But this sword has been cursed by chaos to be a poisonous blade.
Right.
And he ends up approaching like this little couple that they're basically, their guards are down. They're not even armored. It's a romantic date by the river. You're not going to be wearing anything. You'll be wearing like center clothes, if that.
Yeah.
So he comes in. This guy's dressed in like his armor. He's dressed like Kill, and he ends up going to slash Sigmar, who actually immediately turns, similar to what he did against Wolfgar. He turns, and instead of like dying instantly, it actually just cuts him. Like, it gives him a massive like gash across his body.
Right.
And Sigmar is injured. He's panicking. He's like, what the hell? And Ravana actually tries to like tackle him because she's a woman, but she's a fucking barbarian woman. Like, they have female fighters. They aren't prejudiced against women.
and it's her brother. She probably knows. She's probably had fights with him before.
Yeah. So she tries to immediately attack him, but the thing is that Garion is holding his sword, and he's kind of blinded by chaos.
Yeah.
He drank the Kool-Aid.
Similar to how Sigmar walked into a Wolfguard right hook, she ends up walking right into a sword.
Oh man.
He immediately pierces her, and it's at the moment that he pierces her, like he runs her through, is that the delusion kind of fades away and he regains his sense. He immediately panics, like, oh my god, I've killed her. He pulls the sword out of her, she dies. And as she's dying, Sigmar looks at her, and she looks at him, and he again falls into a rage similar to his father and tries to like rush at Garion. But the problem is that the poison blade
weakens him and stuff.
It weakens him, but it's also it's very strong against barbarians in that when your heart is racing, it pumps more of the poison more throughout your body.
Right.
So as it runs to him, he ends up actually tackling Garion, who has basically lost the will to fight. He drops his sword. He tackles him and starts like rolling with him down this hill, and actually ends up like grabbing Garion by the throat with both his like hands. And even though he's losing strength, he's still like trying to choke the life out of Garion while shoving his head under the water.
Ooh.
Like, he's like trying to drown Garion because he's just so full of rage, but he's losing his strength, losing everything. And Garion, while he's drowning and panicking, picks up rocks. He's doing whatever he can. He's like trying to punch Sigmar, and as he's punching him, even though he's weaker than Sigmar, those punches are causing the poison to flow through his body more and more. And Sigmar continues to lose strength. And just before he can finally kill Garion, just before the last of Garion's life leaves him, Sigmar loses strength and collapses over into the water. And Garion, who is in his mind killed Sigmar and has become even more delusional now because of chaos, lifts Sigmar over his shoulders and throws the prince into the running river, where Sigmar is taken away by the water and just washed away.
Damn.
At this point, Garion's kind of losing his mind a little bit and may or may not become a demon prince at some point.
But not Be'lakor.
No.
I kind of expected that guy was gonna come back and get violent and do some stuff like that. I didn't imagine Chaos was gonna be involved. I thought he was just gonna be kind of an edgelord.
Who'd have thought Chaos would actually get a W from this one?
Yeah.
You guys want to guess what happens to Bjorn?
I'm going to assume that he does not have a very good time against the demons and the Vikings.
Let's see. He wins and he becomes king and he lives happily ever after.
And he makes new son.
A new Destiny child.
20 of them, in fact.
Half of them are bald for some reason.
Yeah, I've long maintained that's the reason why Horus flipped.
Because male pattern baldness, man.
Well, yeah, because he was looking at everybody else. He looks at all of his brothers, and it's just like, you could have made me have hair. You chose for me to not have hair.
Well, the funny thing is there was like one artwork of like when he was in like Sons of Horus armor, he actually had like hair.
That's true. He looks like the Punisher in the old comics.
He does.
Short black hair.
He looks stupid with hair.
It doesn't work quite as well.
So that's why he turned to Chaos.
But
that's why he turned to Chaos. He saw himself with hair and he hated it even worse.
It wasn't one of the missing Primarchs that he looked into in that dream. It was his own tube. And he just saw himself with hair.
And he hated it.
He's like, this is what the Emperor wants. Me with hair.
The Emperor lied to me. He made me have no hair.
Then let the galaxy burn.
So speaking of bad fathers, or I guess not bad fathers, Euron's a decent dad actually.
You're just gonna say like he's a bad dad because he got wrecked?
Of course.
Well, I mean, he did.
How
let this
dare
kid
you
in a
get wrecked when
hole.
you have your son out there floating in a river?
Is Sigmar any better? I mean, I'm just saying that was pretty bitchy of you, Sigmar. Like, didn't you come prepared? Like, God,
How dare you?
Daily-
The audacity.
So Sigmar climbs out of the river and he has to be put on a very special chair for 10,000 years.
Oh my God. So Bjorn actually does really well against the Viking demon worshipping bastards. So much so that he actually 1v1s the champion, like the leader of the Norsil tribe, and wins.
Glorious.
Like he cuts off his head. The problem, though, is that the Norsil do not respect the 1v1.
Oh, of course.
That's dirty. That's shameful.
As soon as he kills the Lord, as soon as he decapitates his head, he's immediately set upon by 30 of them at once.
Oh, this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
And they stab him, they club him, they rip him apart, literally.
Oh.
Yep.
And
not always in that order.
Yeah, father and son both die at the same time. The end.
And so they went extinct. The end.
Brutal.
No, no, because they don't die. They lived.
Both of them live.
Gasp.
Well, not his dad. I mean.
Oh, okay.
So Sigmar wakes up on the side of a riverbed on the side of a shore, but it's not actually in his land. It's not like in Unbroken Lands.
Mm-hmm.
He actually wakes up in a very dreary, very dark location, and like all around him are like what look like ghosts.
Okay.
And Sigmar kind of immediately puts two and two together that he's probably dead. He's probably like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm dead. That's great.
This is some weird afterlife shit.
Immediately,
You think this is the afterlife? This is the waiting room.
It actually is. I'm not even lying with you. It is basically the waiting room.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. He ends up in the realm of Mor. Mor is basically the human Grim Reaper. He's the god of death. But he's not actually like a malicious god. He's actually like a protector god. And the reason why is because when a human dies, according to like their old beliefs, Mor is the one who actually keeps you from being consumed by chaos.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Anubis, essentially.
Yeah.
He
Cool.
greets you and guides you through the underworld, so you can reach your final destination.
So you don't become a chaos puppet.
And as the Sigmar is like walking through this, he's like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna die. This is probably death." And he realized there's like a large like gate on the other side, like at the end of this path that he's following, and that's the gate of Mor, which basically you have to pass through this gate, and it's basically like safe. It's basically the pearly gates. Basically, the path that he's in, the realm of Mor, is like the waiting room. You have to walk down this path and enter the gates to be safe from chaos. But until you pass those gates, chaos can kill you and capture you. As he quickly figures out, as just before he's able to pass into the gates, that same Chaos Lord his father killed appears before him.
Ah.
And I should mention that Sigmar is wearing what he wore when he died. So he's literally like wearing like basic commoner clothes against a guy in a suit of armor wielding a flaming sword.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
like
the
his
one
odds.
wearing the Hawaiian shirt. It's all slashed up.
I was told it was popular. Why did so many people boo at me?
It's a rental.
The summer of Sigmar.
That's it. I'm leaving. I'm gonna make my own Hawaiian. I'm gonna make my own Hawaiian tiki place with strippers and poker.
I'm going home.
So the Chaos Lord tries to kill Sigmar, like it tells Sigmar that he is not fully dead. Like he is basically teetering on life and death. And this is basically where they're going to confirm his kill. Like if he can pass through the gates, he'll die, but he'll be safe from chaos. The Chaos Lord's going to kill him before he can even reach that point. And he basically tells Sigmar that if Sigmar lives, humanity has a chance. But as long as chaos is around, but as long as Sigmar is dead, chaos can succeed. It's very exposition-y, and I don't like it, but
Classic
You should have just
GW.
called him the Anathema and moved on.
So Sigmar's parrying, he's pivoting his attacks, but again, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and there's a guy in power armor with a flaming sword. There's only so much you can do. So again, just before he's about to die, the sword gets blocked. It's a very common theme I'm sensing here with Sigmar.
Oh yeah.
But the person who blocks that swing is actually his father.
Ooh,
because his dad also died.
that's true.
Ah, right.
So his dad blocks a swing, and the Chaos Lord is immediately stunned, like, "What the hell? You're here too!" And Bjorn is immediately like, "I killed you once, I'll kill you again."
Parry this, you filthy casual.
Now again, Chaos does not respect the 1v1s because the
Of
Chaos
course.
Lord immediately started summoning demons into the realm of war.
Oh.
This literally forced Sigmar, again in a Hawaiian shirt, to fight along back to back with his father against demons and a Chaos Lord. But the thing is, Sigmar's dad doesn't respect the 1v1s either.
Hey, give credit
Basically, in something that's very straight out of Lord of the Rings, to the point that it may as well be parody. The ghosts that are wandering through this realm that have basically not paid attention to Sigmar, they start turning their heads and looking at Bjorn and it's basically these walking ghosts that walk around. They don't acknowledge you. They don't make sound. They're literally just ghosts on their own journey to the afterlife. And to
Right.
you appear the same way. They look like themselves, and you appear like a ghost to them. It's very much like you're on your own journey. Everyone's everyone's their own ghost.
You're right. That is basically plagiarizing Lord of the Rings.
And these ghosts, no, it gets worse because these ghosts look at Sigmar and Bjorn who are fighting these demons, and they rematerialize their human physical forms.
Wow.
Because these ghosts are the same warriors that fought alongside Sigmar's father Bjorn against the Norcel. So they regain physical form, and because they die with weapons and armor in their hand, they immediately start joining these two people. It's literally Lord of the Rings.
Tell us you plagiarized Lord of the
That's pretty
Rings
great.
without telling us you plagiarized Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
So naturally, because of the heroes and Sigmar can read the script, they win.
Of course.
Because he has the power of plot armor.
Yes. So he wins. He defeats the Norcel tribe. The demons are defeated. And as the warriors are passing into the losing their armor, turning back and passing through the gates, Sigmar's he's joining with his father to the gate as he's gonna pass through, and Bjorn actually stops him and says, "No, your place is not in the afterlife. Your place belongs back in the mortal world."
Mhm.
And Bjorn actually removes his ceremonial pendant, his necklace, and places on the Sigmar, basically telling Sigmar that he is now the king of the Umbarogan tribe.
Right.
And he leaves his son. He passed through the gate, and it's at that moment that Sigmar basically wakes up within the hut of his village, having been saved by their shamans and their priests, and
Yeah, somebody fished
covered
him out
in
of the river.
leaves.
Oh, we got a big one. We got a big one. She's a live
Oh.
one here.
He's been impaled. Get some leaves. Get some leaves and some mud. He feels cold. Put him in the fire.
No, not on the fire.
Just near it. Have a real
Ooh, that smell good
Rasputin
to you?
situation going
You
on.
gotta throw an apple in his mouth. We'll see what we can do.
Remember, spin around and around slowly.
Just wakes up. What the hell's going on?
Barbecue.
Sigma Q.
Sigmar just waking up and being like, all right, a lot happened. It's a bit of a long story. The thing to remember is I'm in charge now. Don't worry about it.
Trust me, my dad said so.
Yeah. Wait, how did you become king? It was revealed to me in a dream.
Can you verify that source? Trust me, I made it up.
Was the source peer reviewed?
Sigmar's ways up. Okay, none of you guys are gonna believe what just happened to me. And you were there, and you were there, and you were there. Also, I should mention that when Sigmar awakes, he actually is wearing the same pendant that his father gave him.
Right.
Because supernatural, spiritual crap.
Well, it's magic. Yeah, you don't got to explain it. Just
Still a
magic.
better explanation than that stupid Force dyad crap they pulled in Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Oh boy.
All right,
you could do whole episodes about that nonsense.
You know, it makes me upset.
A lot of things. Oh wait, I know. Space wolves.
Fuck you.
I don't know, dustpans? Who knows?
Anyway, I'll contain the vitriol. So, Sigmar, it is very much like, all right, guys, listen, I'm in charge now. Because
Look at me. I am the king now.
because while those 5 tribes did technically like stop the Norsil invasion, it did not stop them from like still being a thing.
Yeah.
And Sigmar did not like that. So his immediate response was, all right, everyone who can
Very
pick a sword
understandable.
is picking up a sword.
Oh boy. This is the Imperial Guard era.
I mean, it's pretty accurate because he immediately started like weaponizing everyone.
Yep.
And he immediately was like, all right, let's go. Oh, by the way, tribes near me, you're coming with me. You owe my father a debt. Your father's dead. You owe me a debt.
And so will your children and your children's children's and your children's 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 children's.
I need you to send me every villager you have.
Which ones? All of them.
No, he doesn't do this to every tribe, but he does it to the ones that like already sent forces and like some that he had like good relations with because he was basically carrying the team. He's basically carrying humanity on his back.
He
Hard
is the
carrying.
king.
He's gonna need a chiropractor before this is all over.
Literally. Oh, I should mention he's still like in his teens.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
He's done more as a teenager than any of us will do in our life.
What's your excuse?
In all fairness, we're not Destiny children, so
We weren't born under a two-tailed comet covered in the blood of orcs and great warriors.
There is no destiny for us.
no dwarf ever gave me a sick warhammer.
So Sigmar immediately is like, all right, well, the Norsil were basically stopped, like they were halted their advance.
Right.
And like normally that would be enough for like some people, like sometimes be like, okay, we've stopped them from advancing, that's good enough. Sigmar was like, oh, they stopped advancing. It's our turn.
Yep.
And it went very quickly from like, oh, it was a stalemate to, oh, this is a one-sided murder of everyone. Like Sigmar, like basically the same tactics he used against the Beastmen and the Orcs, he used against them because he's seen them as no different. Like you're just as animalistic and barbarian as them.
That's
like
fair
I
When
will
enough.
all you have
Yeah.
is a hammer, literally.
Yeah.
It was I will set fire to your houses and while you like flee from it, I will cut you down.
Yeah. Hey, it's effective.
Oh, I should also mention one of my favorite tactics Sigmar uses is he let them retreat. Like he let some Norsil forces retreat to find out where their like fleet was, and then just as their forces were about to go on it, he set them ablaze.
Nah. Glorious.
Classic.
Like it was very much like I'm going to chase you to the shore, and then I'm going to chase you further still. Like for reference, if you guys can see the map again, like Norsil is the very like northern part of the empire. They had to flee across the ocean, like across a sea of claws, to get to what is called Norska, and that's where they ended up.
I see.
Like he literally chased them off the continent, across the ocean, and to what is basically Norway.
As you do. As you do.
Yes, you do.
So again, he's a fucking teenager doing this bullshit.
He's a very magical teenager.
Yes, chosen child and whatnot. So, Sigmar commits genocide.
Just
As you
casually
As you do.
in Warhammer. It's just another Tuesday.
On top of that, because of what he did, he actually united the tribes that came with him. Like, the ones he basically like hamstrung along with him together, like under him. Like, it wasn't so
Yeah.
much like, oh, we're serving you, but it's very much like, oh, we are your sworn brothers now. Like, we are with you.
He just
You did the
decided like
impossible.
most
You united the clans.
Yeah, like he just determined he was like, most of each of your tribes is gonna get wiped out in the next battle, so what if we just merged everything?
Look, let's just admit it. I'm fucking Sigmar. Surrender.
My dad said so in a dream.
He said so in a dream once.
Trust me, I made it up. So this is where things kind of start to taper off a little bit. Sigmar becomes, he becomes a king now. He's basically gotten his vengeance. He's ruling his province, his territory that's expanding, it's growing. And because of all this that's gone on, and like all the, the general peacetime that has now followed, naturally Warhammer has to kick Sigmar again in the balls after he just sat down.
Of course.
Because we can't have nice things, remember?
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, very true. So Sigmar, like I said, he's made alliances with all the tribes that he can. He's made allegiances with them, but naturally the world doesn't stop turning because Sigmar wants to come home. He's chilled out a little bit. He's gotten some years under his belt where he's king, where he's like the new king. He's made stronger alliances, more ties, even with the other tribes, the other effectively kingdoms at this point. But his predominant alliance is always the dwarves, which might bite him in the ass because the dwarves are gonna call upon repaying that debt that Sigmar kind of owes them a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yes, 15,000 gallons of ale, 20,000 tons of coal and timber, and yes, the list keeps going on and on and on. Oh, you can't pay
Oh
it
no,
in
no,
time.
no! They need
Guess
bodies. They need bodies to solve a problem.
Yes, and a 250,000 men to fight.
This is where it just gets revealed that there were no banks before the dwarves. The dwarves invented banking, and all of a sudden everybody's screwed now.
Oh, you can't repay your debt? Guess what? That's a token, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, you defaulted on your loan? Guess what? You're going on the list, baby.
You're going to Skaven Blight now.
Throw him in the hole.
Cause a
No,
landslide.
I should mention though, for the dwarves, if you guys can see the map, the dwarves have basically colonized the entire mountain range, to the right side of the map. All that
Very
mountain
fitting.
range is full of dwarf castles and dwarf territory.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Beautiful.
including and most of the mountain ranges besides that kind of fork off. That those are also dwarven holds and shit. But there's a thing though, you might not be able to see it because the quality is obviously awful. But there's actually a small little gap between the mountains, just a small little pass. And this small little gap between the mountains connects what is the old world to the dark lands of the east.
Yeah, I can't see any of that. I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Don't worry about
Barely.
I didn't even know those
Just-
were mountains.
it. I thought those were forests. Okay, well, regardless, realize that those trees are actually mountains. But there's a small little gap between them that connects them to the east side of the map. That is called the Badland, or the Darkland, sorry. And that is basically where orcs come from.
Okay.
It's also full of goblins and ogre, the ogre kingdoms live there.
Is it just whenever you see lands that are dominated by orcs in Lord of the Rings?
Pretty much.
Okay.
The orcs are there. And because basically all the orcs in what is the old world's territory, what is the Empire's territory, are basically gone. A lot of the orcs to the east are basically oi, that's free real estate there, mate.
Oh yeah.
A lot of orc clans start actually gathering together under a single black orc war boss. And are actually making advancements to actually move westward. And a lot of dwarfs are realizing, oh no. That's that's more orcs than we've ever seen. Ever.
We're gonna go over
I
and we're gonna crump all those dudes in the mountain, and then the dwarves are just sitting there going, "Oh God, that's me."
I believe they actually captured a dwarven diplomat and sent him and let him return back, but with a single phrase: and that is that the East is green.
Yikes. The east is green and the caverns are gray.
Yep.
Yes.
So the dwarves are like, "Hey, humans, you owe us like for all the weapons we gave you.
We
you
need that
wanna-"
payment now.
Now, Sigmar and me was like, okay, well, I obviously made a deal with you. You've done so much. Me and my sworn tribes will come to you. But the problem is that a lot of other tribes are like, yeah, no.
I don't want to do that.
Nope.
Yeah, no. Like,
Yeah,
there were
no.
some tribes that like joined out of like, look, ours is like right in the way. Like, you guys are on the other side. So, like, they're going to come to us, and then they're going to come to you. We're just going to join you because we're kind of in the way. We're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So while some tribes did, Sigmar would actually have to basically perform his own like 12 labors of Hercules to like earn the favor of the other tribes.
Oh yeah, because
Now I'm not going to go over them because we're already fucking like pushing it. But what I will say is that he got an army of basically cavalry from a woman named Freya because he decided, and all she wanted in return for the chariots or the cavalry was for Sigmar to sleep with her.
All right.
Oh, such an awful deal. Oh no, how will he ever do this?
Well, she's
I
gonna
should mention
return
that she
with
was said to
20
be like
sons.
gorgeous. She was basically meant to be like, she was basically described as being like an Amazonian like warrior like woman.
Right.
Sounds like his
So,
type
like,
of lady.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting like her to be unattractive in any way, shape, or form.
She was secretly an orc, though.
I should also mention that another king, like a fellow king named Sigurd, he wanted Sigmar to hunt down and kill a dragon ogre.
A dragon ogre?
One of those hybrids.
Yeah.
If you
That's
go back
horrific.
to episode 2, which explains what is Warhammer Fantasy, the old world and beyond.
Yeah,
Cough,
the
cough.
general episode. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, basically imagine like a dragon's like imagine like, you know, the lower body of a dragon. So like it's like it's got 4 legs of a dragon.
Yeah.
And then like its upper torso is like an ogre. It's like a dragon minotaur, but its top half is an ogre.
Yeah, you'd think I would remember that part.
Yeah, this thing's been like terrorizing this guy's like area, and he's like, "Oh, Sigmar, go kill it." And Sigmar's like, "Oh my fuck, okay, fine. You know what? Fine,
Man.
I will do it myself." And he kills a dragon ogre. He puts it down, which I don't even. Again, he's got a fucking anime character bullshit powers, but he's like so cool it loops back around to being awesome.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Even though it
He
doesn't
killed-
really match the physical description, as soon as you brought that up, for whatever reason, my brain just like auto-corrected. It's like, oh, it's just Trogdor.
Oh my god!
I was just imagining like a beefy Conan guy in the peasant clothes fighting Trogdor. Oh,
Oh my god!
Oh,
So
man.
Sigmar returns to Sigurd with the head of this fucking thing, which is said to be like massive, so I don't fucking know. And he
Yeah,
fucking like
no
gives
kidding.
in. Sigurd's like, "Oh, okay,
sure.
oh yeah, yeah."
Oh man.
So you know he's doing his thing.
As
Um,
one
This
does.
anime hero bullshit.
Yes, this is the last one I'll do though. This one's fucking cool. This one's like my favorite one, maybe.
Yeah, buddy,
maybe.
go for it.
So there's this other king. This one has been raiding. This one was raiding the Unbrogans for a while, but basically he decided, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking just chill here. Like I'm gonna be like just chilling. Go like, fuck you. I'm chilling. And he basically like sets up a fortress, which is said to be like a massive tower to the god Ulfric or Ulfric. So I'm getting fucking confused with fucking. We were talking about Skyrim a couple days ago, and I have Ulfric Stormcloak on my mind.
Naturally.
But they one of the patron gods of the old world men is Ulfric, who is a god of W's because he is the embodiment of winter, of war,
Okay.
and wolves.
All right.
That is a very specific god.
He's kind of like their Odin combined with their Ares.
I thought when you said like God of W's, like it was like he's the most powerful. Like everything he does is a W.
Because all he does is win, no
Yeah.
matter what.
The followers,
So-
they begged me, please, Mr. God, we can't take any more winning.
And all I do was win. So they basically built this massive temple to Ulfric to like protect themselves.
Yeah.
And because wow, Sigmar's traveling around trying to like unite all these clans and tribes together. He goes to them, and and there's at the top of this tower. There's this like massive flame to the god, and they're like, "Fuck you, fuck you! What are you gonna do? You can't do anything." So Sigmar's like, "Bet," and he started climbing the fucking like sheer cliff of this tower. And then he, like, again, his total labors of fucking Hercules. He gets to the top, and at the top is like the champion, the leader of this tribe, and he's like dressed in like a wolfskin pelt. He's a fucking like champion of all. Like Ulfric, he has this massive like flame in the middle to the god Ulfric, and it's like, oh, okay, well, you're here. You know what? Let's throw down then. Like, if you beat me, you can take over my tribe. When Sigmar's like, fucking, let's do it. And despite the fact that Sigmar can beat a dragon ogre, he actually gets like tossed around a little bit, like surprisingly. But that's because Ulfric he's basically like a champion of Ulfric, so he has like superhuman strength and bullshit. And he actually throws Sigmar into the flames of Ulfric.
Oh god.
Now, what happened? Now I'm gonna ask Garrett, what happened the last time someone stepped into the flame of a god?
Well, let's see. There were two. One actually turned into basically Doomslayer Elf, and the other one became an Anakin Crisp.
So Sigmar becomes the first one, basically.
Yes.
He emerges out of the flames of Ulfric, basically unscathed, and it's implied that he basically consumes some of Ulfric's like power into him and into the hammer of Galmaraz. And the champion of Ulfric realizing, oh no, I done fucked up.
It's impossible.
I can't believe it took him that long. Like, you would imagine, just from the offset of telling Sigmar, I'm not going to do what you want, I'm just going to do my own thing, you can deal with it. You'd figure that would be enough for him to go, maybe that was a bad move.
Yeah,
because let's not forget, Sigmar can read 5 pages ahead.
Yeah.
Sigmar immediately shatters his skull.
I don't even need the hammer for it.
And he immediately conquers their tribe. Again, there's 12 laborers. All the tribes, he basically does like some bullshit to convince them. Right. In some cases, he just fucks the girl, but that's besides the point.
Again, what kind of time frame are we talking about with these 12 Hercules laborers? Because clearly, with the East being green, the dwarves don't really have that much time on their hands.
Like within a year.
Hot damn! It took Hercules a number of years to do his.
Yeah. Like, I know it like doesn't take.
Just
no,
a
hang on. I might be
endeavor
lying.
for him.
I might be lying. Give me a second. I think it's what is it? It's like not a long period of time. It's like only if anything, it's like a handful of years. That's like the most I'd be willing to like give.
All right, we'll just chalk up the anime hero bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Look,
anime
if you're
hero
determined
bullshit.
enough, you can do anything.
I know he was like generally older though. Like he was not a teen anymore. Hang on, I might be lying. He might be older, but I know that it's like a couple. I'm confident to say it's a couple years. I know he's like probably close to 30. He's in his 20s at least. That's the most I'm willing to give.
Well, shoot, he's done more in his 20s and 30s than any of us have done. I imagine we're all around the same age.
He's not even 30 yet.
Oh yeah.
He's not even 30 yet.
Well, like as we've mentioned, my excuse is that I can't read the script. I got nothing.
I don't have plot armor or a dick the size of a dragon ogre. So Sigmar basically has his army now, and he immediately like leads it to the dwarves. But because of how long it took him to basically unite all, I should mention, 2 tribes adequately refused to join Sigmar, and because of how short of a time span Sigmar had, he basically could not like bring them to heel. So it was basically like, you know what, fucking, I'll just leave.
We'll deal with that when we get there.
I should mention that one of these tribes is called the Bretoni, and they would actually travel westward to eventually become what is known as Bretonia.
That sounds like the surly night that Astro and I kind of ran into on the way back to the tavern.
Yeah.
Yikes.
You can tell by the accent.
Yeah, they asked. They asked. Yeah, they basically Sigmar asked them for help, and they said no, and then ditched because they were like the safest possible place. But they decided we're gonna be even safer if we go on this side of the mountains.
Yep, that sounds exactly like that surly night that we met earlier.
Yeah. Good at covering his angles. Very good at covering his angles.
Regardless, Sigmar makes his way to the dwarven to basically the dwarven fort, and the dwarves are like shocked by how many humans are here. Like there's more, like there's so many humans that they're almost like horrified to a point. Like it's
Right.
only where it's like you don't
We're
realize
like,
how many
what if
there
we're not
are.
alive all of a sudden?
Like you ever like had those numbers where it's like you ever realize how many ants there are on Earth, and your immediately thought is, "Oh my God, they're fucking everywhere."
Oh yeah.
That's basically the same thought process where it's almost like scary how many humans there are, and more importantly, how many humans a single human brought to heal. Like he brought all of them to his aid.
So it's kind of like, so that's like the parallel back to 40K. It was just like there was just an ungodly amount of humans in the 40K galaxy.
Yeah. One of my favorite details. I forget which book it's in. It's in one of the Horus Heresy ones, where it's after Magnus does nothing wrong, and doesn't ruin everything, and the Emperor's just fighting like a losing retreat in the webway, and he was contacting Segmentums and just saying, "Look, I need like 6 billion guardsmen. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they have. I just need 6 billion bodies, and I need that like next month." Because he was just like plugging up holes with ungodly amounts of guardsmen bodies.
That sounds about right. So
and we don't mean metaphorically. We mean literally. Actually, pluck up the guardsmen
Oh,
bodies.
literally.
Just right in the hole.
You might be a demon. You might be crazy powerful. But if there's like 5,000 bodies jammed into a hallway, you're gonna have some trouble.
I mean, that's actually pretty accurate because that's exactly what the dwarves and humans decided to do.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
clog up the meat grinder, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know that pass that connects the old world to the east?
Oh, very
Yes.
slim pass.
That's called the Blackfire Pass, and it's actually about 2 miles wide.
Oof.
That's a lot of bodies.
Yeah. So the concept was okay. Well, dwarves literally like tore down rocks, like basically created like artificial landslides to create like makeshift like barricades and fortresses alongside the inside of the pass, so you could like kind of hide there and take refuge. But the idea was like for just a wall of humans and dwarves to just hold the fucking line.
Hold the line.
Literally, no one passes this mark. And there's a moment where they witness all the orcs coming, and Sigmar has a mix of fear and like excitement rushing through him because it is said that there are over 1 million orcs.
Oh yeah.
Only 1 million.
Oh yes, only 1 million in a fantasy world.
Yeah, Warhammer gets a bit weird with numbers.
GW, like Ray, does not have a good track record with numbers.
I should also mention that they are being led by the single most metal fucking album cover ever. Because leading them is a black orc riding on the back of a wyvern wielding a flaming green sword.
Oh, that's incredible.
Oh.
Tell me there's concept art in this.
Isn't that fucking cool?
Oh, that's crazy.
That is just badass.
Where is it? I cannot find it, you motherfucker. But yes, this orc is just fucking riding in the back of me. He's leading this charge. Now, to skim the details because it's a battle, and I might get into the actual battle itself. All you need to know is a battle in a fantasy series, so, you know, tugging back and forth. People are dying. Orcs are dying. There's a lot of fucking blood involved. And eventually there's a whole point where they're actually like starting to lose ground. Like they are losing ground.
Right.
Sigmar is having that warrior queen that he had sex with. She's like leading cavalry charges. He has those guys, those sons of Ulfric, those did he lose whose leader he beat? They basically like drugged up on like basically fantasy shrooms that they turned into like mindless berserkers. He's having them lead. He's having like all this like fucking just manias going on.
Very
and Sigmar has It's like a Saving Private Ryan moment where he sees all the bloodshed and chaos, and he realizes, oh, we are losing.
Whoops.
And he's having like, oh, and I should mention his friends are here, like Wolfguard and Pendrag are still here, and they're like pulling, and they're like, we need to get out of here, we need to retreat. And Sigmar realizes that they're all like rallying around him, like they're waiting on his word, on his very breath.
Yeah.
And he realizes that the decisions he makes here will decide like whether this is a victory or a defeat.
Mm-hmm.
And Sigmar decides that he's going to decide that it's a victory by examining the battlefield, seeing the highest concentration of orcs running onto one of these massive like makeshift fortresses of rocks and leaping into the middle of the highest amount of orcs ever and just fucking swinging. And because he is like the linchpin of the army, every single like individual's like, oh my god, our commander, go to our commander, he's right there, like come to his aid, he's going to die.
For Frodo.
Man.
And
For
like
Frodo, but if Frodo was like a huge badass and bigger than everyone.
That's basically what it was. It was for Sigmar because like you just seen a barbarian like leap into the middle of an orc horde, and he's like fighting by himself, like he's swinging them with the warhammer, he's beating the shit out of them. Like you're not gonna be like, oh my god, we need to help him. Like oh my god, we need to go now. We need to help him. And this fight like becomes such like a hectic, chaotic mess. And it's so like almost like mindless in like how barbaric it is, and especially Sigmar's like basically suicidal a charge that it creates just enough chaos and anarchy for the humans to like almost like cut a path into the middle of the orc force and like push them against the wall, which naturally creates like an opening in the middle of the pass. And it's basically like a challenge, like an open like arena for Sigmar and the Black Orc to face each other. So as the wyvern's coming down, Sigmar takes his hammer and fucking just takes it in the head and brings it down. And then you have Sigmar 1v1ing the Black Orc who just was running on top of the wyvern with a flaming green sword. And this is once again like a duel for the ages as humans and dwarves are fighting against the orcs, like the over 1 million orcs. You can see in the background is Sigmar, this like god among men, this warrior god given form, is fighting against this massive, like smarter, tougher, stronger black orc. Until eventually, at the very end, Sigmar swings underhand and just immediately breaks its head from under its jaw, just shattering and exploding its head upwards.
And the battle shall be legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the next word is dairy. Legendary.
You'll love to see.
And after witnessing this, a lot of the orcs again fly into a panic, like, "Oh my god, he just killed him! Run!" Or they start like routing, or they start turning each other, like, "Oh well, he's just a one-word boss. I could be the." It's basically like because there's so many orcs, this becomes their weakness, like the Skaven, where they immediately start fighting against each other as well as having to like retreat against the humans and the dwarves. And so it's basically like, oh, this like 500,000 orcs are gonna retreat, but they're running into a wall of another 500,000 orcs.
Oh man.
Good old orc ridiculousness.
Yes, and Sigmar, he's like basically dying from all the exhaustion from like bleeding, and he still continues to lead the charge against the orcs.
Oh yeah, he's not
like
finished.
he's running on spite and adrenaline alone.
He's just so angry.
You wouldn't like Sigmar when he's angry.
And they literally like purged so many orcs that they basically like kept the orcs out of. Okay, this was basically Ulanor of Yeah. Like
there
after
it
this
is.
event, the orcs no longer become like a major threat to the Empire.
They're an endless nuisance, but they're just no longer the big bad.
Now, after Sigmar ends the orcs in the most badass way possible, he's given a second to, take a breath. The great Krugen Ironbeard approaches Sigmar.
I was about to ask if he was going to come back into play.
Oh, he was fucking fighting alongside Sigmar. He was like, fucking throw me. It was like he's fucking going in there like a little ball of rage.
He comes up to Sigmar at the end of the battle. He just says, Sigmar, truly, you were the Warhammer fantasy all along.
No, the real Warhammer fantasy was the friends we made along the way.
Oh my god. Speaking of the friends we made along the way, they're basically all dead.
Yeah. It's not a real apocalyptic battle if there's no loss.
Yeah, like a lot of people died, obviously, and including one of like the tribe, like one of the tribe kings. So in case you're keeping track, like basically all of Sigmar's competition is dead.
Mm.
Not all of them, but like a good
Funny
portion
how
of his
that works.
competition is dead. Well, it was actually he was actually one of the more decent ones.
Yeah.
But regardless, Sigmar kind of there's basically like this big funeral pyre for like all the bodies to be like lit on fire in between like the Blackfire Pass to
Mm.
basically be like an almost celebratory like they've died for us, but let's light this place on fire and like demonstrate
Mhm.
just what we can do, like a
Yeah,
giant
big like
flame.
commemorative show, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
and at the end of it, the dwarves actually approach Sigmar and they make a huge event of it as they actually present Sigmar with the first crown of the Empire and
Ooh.
name Sigmar the Emperor of Mankind.
Awesome.
I should also
Mind
mention that.
blown.
I should also mention that at this point Sigmar is like 30. This would be his 30th. This is like his 30th year, basically.
It was his birthday, the day of the battle.
It was his birthday.
And this was the best birthday present ever.
Oh, it actually gets a lot better. Well, not really, but they give Sigmar the crown. He puts it on. He becomes the emperor. But the dwarves don't stop there. In return for like what the humans did, all the remaining kings, or their heirs, if their heirs are present, are actually given what are called the 12 rune fangs. Each one of these rune fangs is basically a dwarven sword of. It's basically like a Valyrian steel sword in Game of Thrones.
Okay. Very rare, very mystical, very unusually powerful.
Yes, I should also mention it's made out of that like fantasy metal bullshit Romneil and
Yeah.
dragon scales.
Oh, nice.
So it is like fucking insanely powerful. I guess insanely rare. It's like indestructible in every way, shape, or form. But Sigmar, as his first declaration as emperor, he says that there shall be no kings. Like it's not right for one king to rule above other kings. Like you can't have that. So instead, he basically it's more of a demotion than a promotion. But he basically declares that every single king under him should become a count.
Okay.
Like basically, yeah. And he will become the emperor above them, and each one of them will become his count, and each count will get a rune fang, and Sigmar keeps the crown and the hammer.
Okay.
Okay. So kind of like
So, yeah.
Aegon's conquest of Westeros. All the previous kings from the Seven Kingdoms were demoted to lords.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Does the crown have any like particular powers?
It's literally just a crown.
That's just a crown? Okay. I'm sure it's a very nice one though.
Yes, it's a very nice one. A very nice crown on a very nice Sigmar head.
Yeah.
But naturally, Sigmar becomes, the emperor. He ends up like industrializing the entire emperor and like the entire like realm. He builds roads, does all the things that a typical emperor does to make his empire good. There isn't really much else that happens. I mean, Sigmar gets controlled by Nagash. He almost kills his best friend. He kills Nagash. Pretty uneventful stuff.
Of course,
What a
Nagash being
shenanigans.
Nagash, he just opts to not reap himself. So
What was that, Astro?
Hmm?
What did you say?
I was laughing. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's like the most eventful thing that else that happens after he becomes king. But for the most part, he rules wisely and well up until his 50th birthday, or up until his 80th birthday, rather. I think it's
So,
fucking
like-
insane that Conan the Barbarian lived to 80, but that's just me.
So like in contemporary like books and stuff like that, or whatever. Well, I guess it wouldn't be contemporary books because they don't do old world anymore, right?
No, but go ahead. Keep asking your question.
Oh no, I was just curious. So like, is it just that even though he has the position that he has, there's just kind of a much more of a limitation on what he can do in the realm than compared to say what the Emperor was able to do in the universe when he was walking around?
Oh no, because this is where things actually get really interesting. Because Sigmar's story doesn't end here, technically, or rather, the Empire story doesn't end here, because this is actually the 50th year of the Empire's reign. But in Warhammer Fantasy Present, it's actually the 2026 or 2600s, basically.
Okay.
So so this is actually like 2,500 years in the past of like the present era.
Okay.
So what happens on Sigmar's 80th birthday? The old senile barbarian king, probably like too mentally broken from getting hit in the head one too many times with a snake, gets out of bed, puts on his armor, and leaves. Like he just walks away. He doesn't say where he's going. He just walks away.
Refuses
shit,
to
I'm out.
elaborate, leaves.
Now, everyone assumed that the king was like leaving to like die. Like, oh, he's going to die. He doesn't want to like plague us with his death. But here's the thing, though. While he was gone, he didn't seem like senile. He didn't seem weak. In fact, he seemed old, but he seemed like a strong old man. Like he's 80, but he seems like he's a strong man.
Like his father.
And yeah, and it's actually revealed later, or it's not revealed later, but while they're waiting for like Sigmar's like to return or something to happen, a priest of our Uruk arrived. It's basically like a high priest of the Church of Uruk, who the god of W's. Basically, he arrives in the capital of the empire where Sigmar had been ruling, and he's stark raving mad. But he says that he had seen Sigmar like walk past him, and he tried to talk to him, but Sigmar refused to listen. And he said that he'd seen Sigmar talking to a man who looked very similar to his god Ulrich. But then he said that Sigmar kneeled, and Ulrich placed his own crown on top of Sigmar's head. And when Sigmar rose up, he basically ascended to godhood and vanished.
Okay.
Now,
Interesting.
did this actually happen, or did this crazy old man like break into
Was he just a crazy old man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be kind of weird for him to ascend to godhood and then just like disappear, as opposed
but he
to
did.
doing stuff. Yeah. It seems strange. Almost like
Apparently-
an old guy just made it up.
The idea is that Sigmar mantled Ulfric's position. Like
Right.
Ulfric was because of how civilized the Empire was getting, Ulfric wasn't being prayed to as much. Like the gods of winter, W, and wolves, like really specific things.
Yeah,
He wasn't
that makes
getting like
sense.
he wasn't getting like worship and praise that Sigmar, a living man who literally came back to life like a fucking Jesus allegory. Who stopped demons, who stopped orcs, who did all these amazing things. He's going to be like worshipped. So the idea is that Ulfric he stepped down divinity and gave it to Sigmar, or at the very least, like Sigmar like wrestled power, or like he didn't wrestle power. That sounds antagonistic, but it's very much like I'm taking your position as head of the pantheon.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
just he danced with him a little bit.
So that is the origin of Sigmar and the origin of the Empire.
Truly the greatest factions.
Absolutely.
Humans are great,
Yes, but dwarves are better.
except for the Bretoni who fucking ditched because they didn't want to be bothered.
Yes,
I imagine we'll
that's
cover them at another point.
That's a real L of an origin story.
Metal.
We need help fighting the orcs. It's the biggest orcs we ever fought. Help us. You'll get a cool ass bomb ass sword. You get to join the Empire, and we can all
No.
be friends. Nah, dog, I'm good.
And then peace out. Oh man. Well, this was a fun story.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was great. And the names were way easier to follow than anything else.
Yes.
It's because I gave you a map with 4 pixels on it.
Yeah, that map carried the whole stretch of lore.
Yes, it did. Yes, it
You
did.
can track Sigmar's movement as he moves through the land. We got 50
Speaking of
seconds.
carrion, Ray, do you have those chains? We need to borrow them again because crap, here comes those guards going after us.
Have you seen him?
Hide them.
He wasn't here, officers.
Yeah, absolutely. We promise.